will have to incur in the enhanced redress scheme. There are fears that people will still have to contribute a significant amount of money towards the demolition and reconstruction of their homes. Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says the housing agency has played a key role in coordinating the pyrite scheme in Leinster, and he wants to know why that's not the case with the current scheme.
So, Taoiseach, I'm asking you to urgently clarify that this information is wrong. And I'm asking you to urgently clarify why the housing agency are not operating the scheme in the west of Ireland the same as they do in the east, to ensure that the families who are traumatised don't have to carry this.
Well, the PRO of the Mica Action Group believes the new Mica Redress scheme has the potential to deliver a lot, but some amendments are needed. 7,500 affected homes will be fixed under the revised €2.2 billion scheme and will be tackled on a worst first basis. However, there is concern that a sliding scale of a cap of €145 per square foot for the first 1,000 square foot will result in homeowners incurring extra costs. Michael Doherty says it can still be salvaged and they will be looking for appropriate changes to be made, one being that the sliding scale is scrapped.
Why put in things that you knew was going to be contentious? And in terms of what is the saving in the overall scheme of things, probably very little percentage-wise. It just leaves a bad taste in our mouth. But overall, we have to look at the big picture, look at the entire package and make a more of an informed decision. I believe it has the potential to deliver a lot here, and we will be looking for amendments to the parts of it that at the minute are not palatable.
The Education Minister says children who don't wear face masks to school will be sent home. From today, students in third class and above will have to wear masks in school. Only students who have a medically certified exemption will be allowed to attend without a face covering. It comes as COVID cases among 5 to 12-year-olds have increased by 47% in the space of 2 weeks. Minister Norma Foley says it's an expert-recommended safety measure.
If you provide a medical certificate explaining the situation regarding your child, obviously will be exempted. But if you do not do that, there has to be clarity around this. It has to be operational. It is a safety measure, and that will be the scenario that students who do not comply and do not have a medical basis will be asked to stand down from school.
Weather now cold and windy this morning with scattered showers and sunny spells developing. Some of the showers will be heavy with some falls of sleet likely, along with a risk of hail. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Christmas, a time of caring, sharing and compromises, like deciding which presents make your list or which in-laws you're going to for dinner. But with OnPost Mobile, there are no contracts, no bills and no compromises. Just unlimited calls, texts and a whopping 50 gigabytes of 4G data with 99% population coverage. All for only €15 a month, and you get the first month free when you switch. Switch to OnPost Mobile today and shop our range, including the Samsung A02s from $129.95 at onpost.com/mobile or at your local post office. OnPost Mobile, for your world. €15 unlimited available for new customers. Fair usage policy applies. For terms and conditions, see onpost.com/mobile.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9, Wednesday, the 1st of December. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. A lot going on today. Coming up between 10 and 11, we're going to be giving away one of our lucky listeners who entered our card draw competition, €2,000. That will be happening live. You'll be able to watch that live on our Facebook pages as well as you can the entire show, as I mentioned, every day, or on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Hop onto our website and you can see the link there. We're going to be dominating, a lot of the programme will be dominated by discussions as it relates to yesterday's enhanced Mica scheme. We'll be speaking to the Housing Minister in this hour and all the other main players, gauging their reaction to this scheme, which has been welcomed, but obviously there is significant fundamental problems that there are calls on for them to be reviewed. But we'll be talking about all of that and so much more besides as well. So get in touch with us right now if you want to. WhatsApps, texts, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Give us a call on 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000. Caroline taking your calls. I mentioned the WhatsApps and texts, didn't I? Your emails to comments@highlandradio.com. And as I mentioned, if you want to comment whilst watching the stream across any of those platforms, feel free to do so there. So let's start with the newspapers. The Inish Times. The Mica Action Group has said there are parts of the new defective concrete blocks which it cannot accept. The defective block schemes, that is. The enhanced 2.2 billion scheme, which is capped at €420,000 per home, was announced on Tuesday afternoon by Minister for Housing Darragh O'Brien after it was approved by the Cabinet. The scheme allows for rebuilding costs of €145 per square foot, which drops on a sliding scale after the first 1,000 square feet. A proposed cost of €138 per square foot had been rejected by Mica campaigners after details of the proposed scheme had been leaked at the weekend. They had been looking for €150 per square foot, of course, without that sliding scale. The Donegal Post, filming of a documentary which recalls the shocking murder of Donegal woman Dolores McRae, is currently underway in the area. The documentary, believed to be commissioned by a major UK TV channel, will revisit the horrific events of January and February 2004. It will recall how a missing person inquiry turned into a murder investigation after human remains were found in a fire outside the family home. It's understood that Dolores McRae's family have been giving their support for the documentary to be filmed, which is the one concern I would have had, that this could have, been very difficult for them. It will be, but if they're working with the documentary team, that's encouraging. The Finn Valley Voice, a group of hardy souls, will brave the elements this coming Friday night for a charity sleep out to raise money for homeless charity Focus Ireland. The sleep out is the brainchild of Stranorla woman Nuala Malone and Sean McGlynn of Profitness Ballybofey. You can read more on the front and inside that paper today. The Irish Independent tells us that Christmas travel plans have been thrown into doubt after the government introduced strict new rules for international travel. Tens of thousands of people planning to travel to Ireland over the coming weeks will have to ensure they have a negative COVID-19 test before they arrive, even if they are vaccinated. Now, I don't know if that throws it into chaos. It's an absolute pain in the butt. Of course, it doesn't apply if you're flying into Derry or Belfast, but they don't care about that. Doesn't matter because the north of the country simply doesn't matter. So it doesn't even require a mention that you can get the boat to Belfast, fly in, fly to Derry, no bother, right? So they only focus on the ports and the airports in the Republic, which is fine. But I mean, it just leaves the rest of us going, well, did they not realise how this whole island works? That being said, you can get one of those antigen tests, which are relatively cheap, around about €30. So in other words, I don't think €30, it's a lot of money, is going to stop someone doing what they were already going to do at Christmas in any case. But the paper believes the move will cause significant angst for people planning visits homes to see family and those jetting off for short breaks over the festive period. The new rules could leave fully vaccinated passengers stranded in foreign countries if they can't produce a negative test before coming home. But again, there's not a country in the world that does not have readily available PCR or even the proper antigen tests done by a professional. So I don't see it to be cancelled Christmas. It's a pain. I wish they didn't have to do it. I don't see the point in it because I believe this variant is everywhere at this point. We've said it for a couple of days in this programme now. As it turns out, it was in Netherlands long before it was discovered in South Africa. So the Irish Times covers the Mica story. Homeowners affected by the Mica defective block scandal have reacted angrily to a revised redress scheme, saying they'll still have to contribute large sums to rebuild their homes. This is something that, when we speak to him later on, that the Housing Minister is going to reject quite vehemently, that people will be able to access this scheme and build their homes without having to contribute it in the majority, if not all the cases, up to the €420,000 cap. He's very firm on that. The government scheme, costing $2.2 billion and heralded by the Taoiseach Micheál Martin as an unprecedented state intervention, left some of the 7,500 homeowners in Donegal and Mayo devastated as they still face contributing large sums to rebuild their homes. Again, that is something that the Housing Minister rejects out of hand. The Irish Daily Star today, the EU drug regulator said it could approve vaccines adapted to target the Omicron variant if the coronavirus within 3 to 4 months if needed, but that existing shots would continue to provide protection. Speaking to the European Parliament, European Medicines Agency Executive Director Emer Cook said it was not known if drug makers would need to tweak their vaccines to protect against the variant, but the EMA was prepared for that possibility. On to the Irish Daily Mirror now, and they tell us that a second pilot of Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express, which is a horrible expression, which I'll not use again, I just stumbled across it there, has said he flew Prince Andrew on the private jet. These were underage, it's not a Lolita, these were underage girls that were being trafficked and exploited, and I don't think it really is the type of scenario for a catchy name for a plane, to be honest. I think it's really puke, and I'm surprised in 2021 they're still at that crack. But the revelation was made during the New York trial of Andrew's pal, Ghislaine Maxwell, on sex trafficking charges. Epstein's airman Lawrence Visocki agreed he was familiar with the Duke of York when asked about the royal. Lawyer Christian Everdell then said, and he flew on Mr. Epstein's plane, right? Mr. Visocki responded he did, as well as the Duke. Mr. Visocki recalled Bill Clinton, Donald Trump before he became president, comedian Chris Tucker, astronaut John Glenn, and actor Kevin Spacey as passengers. Good news for workers in An Post, and fair play to the company. They've become the first major company here to have no gender pay gap for their employees. This is in The Sun. The Postal Services has brought down the pay difference from 3.7% to 0% in just 2 years. They said this is a comparison to this is in comparison to an 11.3% gender gap across the country. And the group said that for the first time in their history, women earned marginally more than men. The report came as they plan to hire more female postal delivery staff. On Post's Eleanor Nash said traditionally our sector is more male-oriented, but they say they're addressing that, and they have in fact. And finally, in the Irish Daily Mail, men who use e-cigarettes are more than twice as likely to suffer erectile dysfunction, a study suggests. A high level of nicotine in the vaping liquid is thought to hamper the ability of blood vessels to dilate, reducing blood flow to the nether regions. Even fluids without nicotine containing chemicals that may reduce the amount of testosterone in the body. Scientists from New York University said vapors should be warned the devices may harm their love life. They studied 11,207 males aged 20 to 65 with no history of cardiovascular disease. Analysis revealed daily vapors were 2.41 times more likely to suffer erectile dysfunction than men who never vaped. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts to that number. Call 07491 25,000. The Housing Minister joins us after this break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
OK, Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien. There's an awful lot positive, I think, by all accounts, in this announcement yesterday. But I suppose initially, do you believe this to be a 100% redress scheme?
Yeah, well, that's what we've committed to doing, Greg. And I think, look, you're right. There is a lot positive. Is there a bit more work to do on this? I believe so. I think, to be fair, if you look at where we've moved from a scheme that was brought in under the last government, which was well-intentioned but didn't work as intended, with a cap of 247,500. We now have a situation whereby we have an overall cap of 420, but importantly within that, in all of the remediation options, including the rebuild option, we have 100% redress. And, you know, really what we need to work towards is most of it has been welcomed, which is good. The certification piece, the inclusion of RTB registered rental properties, which is a big move, and particularly if someone was unfortunate enough to have their own home affected by Mica and had a rental property that's registered, that is also going to be able to access the scheme, which hasn't been done in any other scheme, and I think that's important. Certification of the work, which is something that I said myself, which was sorely lacking from the first scheme, because if you're going to remediate a home, the work needs to be certified. You need to be able to get your home insured. You need to be able to, potentially in future, if you're selling your home.
Do you think that's a responsible use of taxpayers' money? Because what you're talking about there is repairing the outer leaf, and it seems almost inevitable that the inner leaf then goes, so people are coming back twice.
No, I hear what you're saying.
It seems to be... not an
Greg.
effective use of money.
Yeah, no, I think, look, there are a suite of 5 options that engineers independently of, and we're going to have the housing agency heavily involved in this, which is something I wanted and something the residents wanted. Another big positive here, okay? And housing agency have immense experience in remediation on the East Coast and elsewhere. But to get to your point, the 5 remediation options are set down by engineers, and an engineer would select which one. What we've looked for is simply that if there is an issue, which we don't expect there would be, but if there is, if say Mica represents or defective block in Mayo on an outer leaf, or indeed post a remediation, that one would have recourse to the scheme. No, I don't believe it is a waste of money at all, or a bad use of money. I think it's an engineering option that's there, that I've actually seen that work done, Greg, and where in the East Coast, I've seen 3 homes where the outer leaf was remediated, and they were independently signed off by engineers. Okay. Outside of a scheme. So it is a real engineering option. That's what I'm saying.
When you spoke to members of the Mica Action Group yesterday, there was no mention of a sliding scale. When did a sliding scale on the square footage cost become a talking point, and who actually suggested that? Was that your idea? Was it suggested to you? Did it come up at Cabinet? When did that come onto the table?
No, well, sliding scale, if you go back and look, I've many conversations, and I've kept in touch with the working group right the way through the summer. So the conversations I have with them are between myself and them. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but to give you an idea, like we've had what we wanted to do was to make sure that there's a rate independently set, independent, and that's the principle. So we will have a new rate in February that will be worked on. So the rate we gave yesterday is indicative. A sliding scale isn't a new thing, by the way. In the working group report in September, the submission from the residents themselves had a 2-scale approach on it, okay? So I think there's been maybe a bit too much focus on that. If we look but I didn't want to announce something which is comprehensive without giving an indication for what that would look like.
So are you saying this is the homeowner's idea?
No. I'm saying that actually, when you would see with I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that within the submission there was a sliding scale. QSs and others within the department would also say, and very clearly, that there would be economies of scale the larger the home, so there would be a tapering off or a sliding scale. But let's I don't think we should dwell on that too much.
Well, it is the key point with respect, Minister.
It's not just if I could just take it back. If I could just take it back a little bit, Greg, and we'll get there. Let's take it back a little bit. What we announced yesterday is €800 million in additional support and funding for this scheme. The scheme had committed in 2020 to €1.4 billion of expenditure, and to do what? To help homeowners whose homes are crumbling. The 800 million extra is the enhancement, and that is really, really significant. So the workings of that was always going to be complex, but we've included to make sure on all options it's 100%, and that's absolutely where we want to get to.
So on the most simplest terms then, and you can explain it to me in layman's terms if that's okay. If someone is building a house, an average house, 2,500 square feet, let's say. How do they do that without themselves having to contribute? Because I speak to an awful lot of people, as you would know. These are older people who have everything in the house. They've no access to any other funding. Contact from someone in the mid-40s yesterday with a heart condition. No prospect of getting any extra borrowing. You know the banks aren't working with people other than to defer mortgages, right? So explain to me how someone building the most average of house, 2,500 square feet, can do that without having to try and find their own resources through this 100% redress scheme.
Firstly, just to say, if you look at what we published yesterday, and to give indications to people that for a 2,500 square foot home, the maximum grant, as announced yesterday, would be 325,000. Okay, and if you look at the scheme that existed up to yesterday, that was 240. Just let me finish this, Greg, if you may. That was 247,500. So a very significant increase. What I have said, and very clearly to residents too, is that the rate we need to make sure keeps up with building cost inflation, okay? And the best way of doing that is by using the rate that's set by the chartered surveyors. And they actually will be setting a rate early next year, actually I'm meeting them later in the week, which will be independent of me, and that will take into account building cost inflation and other.
Okay, and I understand that, Minister.
Future, by the
That's
way,
the
Greg,
first 1,000 square feet. I'm asking you to explain to me the.
No, Greg. Hold on a second now. I want to be really clear on this. Let's be straight. What was announced yesterday, you're looking at a maximum grant of 325. What some concerns have been raised is to say, well, okay, if the building cost is above that, because we have seen near-term inflation in costs, how would that be bridged? And what I'm saying to you is that aspect of it will be worked on with the new rate that will be announced in February. And there will be very little homes, I would imagine, if any, unfortunately, Greg, that are going to be remediated between now and February. We need legislation in place for this scheme, and that's a really important thing too, if I could say, because the current scheme only exists under regulations under the 1979 Act. This scheme is going to be with us for, unfortunately, maybe even a decade, okay, between all the counties that need to be done, including and most acutely Donegal. So we need to get it right.
Okay, Minister, can I just ask you again, if someone, right, once this new rate is set, and that would be okay maybe for the first 1,000 square foot, I think that's broadly accepted. I just want you to explain to me, right,
Greg, what I'm saying to you
how they complete the balance of the works on this sliding scale without having to come up with their own money. It's a simple question.
What I'm saying to you is, based on the new rate that we strike, our endeavour is to ensure that in all remediation options where a fair rate is struck and where that is overseen as well by the housing agency, who will be looking at each application, that we wouldn't have a situation where residents, for the replacement of their home at the standard in fairness which they have looked at, not for an enhancement standard of the home, but the same replacement value, that they would not have to make a contribution.
Could you explain to me how that works under this sliding scale scheme, please?
Well, Greg, what I'm saying to you is, and I'll say it to you again, the new rate will be struck in February. What we gave yesterday was indicative. If you look at all at the different house sizes through Mayo and through Donegal, what was announced yesterday was a very significant increase on that. Now, what we don't want is a situation where there's a shortfall, and we don't want that. But in fairness, I think everyone will understand as well, we need to make sure that there are cost controls in this, because this scheme needs to be sustainable and it needs to work into the future. It's 2.2 billion.
But you've got two caps. You do have cost controls with the overall cap. Well, again, at the risk of sounding like I have no understanding of this, if you could just please explain to those listening today, right? If a rate is struck for the first 1,000 square feet, that is what it costs. Let's say it's 160, okay, for example.
But
and after the 1,000,
I would
it
expect,
slides.
if I can answer you this, sorry, Greg, because you continually return to this. Now, I want to look at what's a very positive announcement yesterday. There is work to be concluded by February in relation to a new rate. And I'm saying to you now that I am confident when that work is completed, that in all remediation options, and actually options 2 to 5 don't require that rate, that will be full 100%, okay, which is a big change up from 90, is that the work that we will do and be done independently of me will take into account building cost inflation. So that rate should, and I expect will, ensure that residents will not have to, where a fair price is struck, have to contribute to the scheme. Now, that work is not concluded, Greg, but it will be. The working group I've kept in touch with on a regular basis and will continue to do so, and through my own colleagues, Joe McHugh and Charlie McConalogue and others. So we've come a long way on this. So what I'm saying to you is, people, this is a very serious and a very complex issue that I committed to getting right, and I will get it right.
So the first 1,000 square feet rate would be struck at such a rate that it would balance out over the course of the balance?
If independently of me, it is seen that the rate would be struck at something other than 1,000, could be 1,500, or indeed further up than that. That would be something that would be workable as long as the rate was fair. And that is work that's been done independently of myself, okay? And that's what the residents wanted, because we need to have confidence in the scheme. So, and in fairness, the measures taken yesterday, many positive ones, which you've in fairness acknowledged at the very start of this interview, will build that confidence. The independent certification, the use of the housing agency, which is really, really important, the increase in the funding that's there, the recourse to the scheme, and yes, indeed, the independent setting of a rate. Now, the rate isn't a new thing. and it isn't a new thing, but we want to get it right. And what I'm saying to you and to your listeners is we will get it right, and we will continue to engage with the group and get that right.
Do you not think it's a little bit regrettable, Minister, that without this sliding scale option and the confusion and me having to repeat questions, that there would be a very different tone to the mood in Donegal, Mayo and on the West Coast today? There'd be a different tone to this conversation. This is not me that is scratching heads. This is the people listening to this programme today. It's members of the Mica Action Group and the opposition, which you would expect in any case. This could have been a wholly, for the most part, positive day, and yet still.
Okay, I get the point. I get the point you're making. Yesterday was a very significant day, and in fairness, most have acknowledged that. Okay, some members of the opposition haven't, but I wouldn't expect any different there. That's fine. Leaving that aside, and I've listened very carefully to members of the Action Group who have acknowledged right up to last night of the significant changes that have been made. When you're making changes like this too, and when you want to get a scheme right and make sure that it's robust, of course you've got to work through that with people, and we've done that, and we will get there. And I think, in fairness, there is an acknowledgement of a big step forward here. And I did say yesterday very clearly, and this wasn't because of questioning from journalists like your good self or anything else. I was very upfront about it, about the fact that we will be striking a new rate in February. And why were we doing that? Because we have seen in Ireland and in Europe a very sharp near-term inflation in building. And I recognise that, and that's not just an Irish phenomenon. So that we need to have a mechanism to capture that, and we need to have a mechanism that's reviewed every year. And that is another thing that's been very much welcomed by the group. So what I would say to your listeners is we are well on the right track here. Yes, there is still a small bit of work to be done. That will be done. We need the legislation done. And I would expect and hope for the support of the opposition in passing that legislation expeditiously and quickly, because that needs to be in place. And I would say as well, for some of the criticism from political circles, it is important to note that not one submission was received from the main opposition party in relation to what they would do for this scheme. But that aside, real progress has been made yesterday. Good movement. And thanks, and to be fair, thanks to the really hard work of those on the working group and residents.
Okay, so could I ask you just to even, maybe speak directly then to the people affected by this in answering this question, and I'm not going to phrase it in the same way as I did previously. If this scheme with the cap of 420 brings in around about 82% of those affected as part of 100% redress, those are around about the MAG
figures. Where are you getting the 82?
Well, they say that the cap of 420 leaves about 18%. 8%.
I don't think they do, to be fair.
Okay,
Greg.
well, I'll correct. If I'm wrong on that, I'll correct.
I'm not. I don't want to contradict you. No, I don't.
But my question is, do you believe then, whomever can get their houses built under this cap will not have to contribute to the building costs themselves? Are you confident in saying that today?
Yes, and based on a fair rate and a fair price by the contractors, which will be independently assessed by way of the applications managed by the housing agency, I absolutely think we can do that.
Okay,
and that's my earnest desire. But what I just want to go back and I don't see 18% of homeowners in any way, shape or form left out by the €420,000 cap. Actually, based on our analysis, you would be looking at probably about 2%. If I look at the local property tax returns, which is a good indication of the value of homes, in any region across the country, there's about 300 homes in Donegal, and they're not all affected by Mica, thankfully, who would have a valuation of over 437,000. So I genuinely don't see. I think our new cap, which is significantly higher, and also the workings within it will ensure that most homes will be in it, and really importantly, that rental homes registered with the RTB will also be included, and that's a big departure, and that's something that we want to make sure.
And that can be done retrospectively. So if someone's listening to this today, they have a second property, it's being rented, they're not obliged to register with the RTB.
Well, they are obliged to register with
by
the
law.
RTB. By law, yes.
Anyone renting a property has to register with the RTB.
Yes. So basically, Greg, that the registration date is the 1st of November, that properties have to be registered by the
I don't mean under the scheme, sorry, I mean in general.
No, in general.
Okay.
If you're renting a property to anyone, it has to be registered to the RTB. unless it is like a short-term holiday let.
Yes, like
if there's a
Airbnb, for example.
That's the law and has been for many years, and rightly so. And that's to protect tenants.
But if someone doesn't have it, if they're renting it today and they don't have it registered with the RTB,
have it registered, Greg.
If they could, and let's just presume they didn't know, can they register and have it? And
no, well, the registration date, Greg, is that homes and around 900 homes that we estimate, and these are estimates, but as good as we can get it, around 900 homes that are registered with the Residential Tenancies Board and our second properties will have access to the scheme. If you're asking me if someone is renting a home to a tenant today, which is the 1st of December, and it wasn't registered with the RTB, could they retrospectively register and get into the scheme? No, they can't.
And what if they were in between tenants? Say,
well,
for
that's
instance,
something that, to be fair, that's something that we will look at, and that has been raised with me. And I think that where it's a genuine situation, which there can be with a house being vacated and a new tenant coming in, I think that we will look at that piece. But like as I said, if you look at the East Coast scheme, for argument's sake, and these were very good points made. People wanted to make sure that there was parity and there was questions around that. It's only one property per household on the East Coast. We're now in some instances permitting two, because we recognise we are in a housing crisis. There are tenants there in these homes. I'm also going to have a mechanism potentially where I do want us to look at the potential of purchasing homes, particularly where there are tenants in situ, where we can provide secure homes. We could have tenants who are on housing assistance payments, houses being rented to them. I think there is an opportunity, and it might make sense.
It does make sense. I think most people might agree.
And then we're keeping, we're building up our social housing.
But do you know, just in that decision you've made there, there are people listening to this who didn't register with the RTB. That's their entire life pulled from under them. You recognise that, don't you?
Greg, can I be really straight with you? It's the law to register with the RTB, okay? So this will be most landlords and tenants will be registered with the RTB, okay? And they should be. And in fairness, that's recognised. We have to have controls and parameters around it as to who accesses it. And this is a big change. And, if someone is a landlord and they have a tenant, it should be registered with the RTB. That's the law. So,
okay.
And that's
last question. Holiday homes, commercial properties, agricultural buildings, will there be anything for them in the near to mid-future?
Well, what we're doing in the legislation, we'll have a 3-year review, and every scheme needs to be reviewed. In relation to commercial properties, farm buildings and that doesn't fall under my own remit, okay, and there are issues and they're real, and I've seen it in other parts of the country. They haven't been included in other schemes. What I would say in relation to holiday homes, they would have access to schemes that say like the repair and lease, that if someone did have a holiday home and they wanted to repair it and lease it to a local authority, that option is available. But, they are things that can be kept under review. My real focus is, and I think all of us will agree, when we have about 7,500 homes to be done, it's the family homes where people are living in them, all the way through the year that need to be attended to first. And we've got to attend to them on the basis of the worst first principle. So that's another thing I'm bringing in that wasn't in the other scheme, which is a damage category rating. So we need to make sure that those homes that are more badly damaged are attended to quicker. So like we'll be starting this work in relation to the new administration of the scheme, mental health supports as well, which we've agreed, which is a big issue for people who've come through a trauma on this, and we want to make sure the supports are there. There's many of the short-term things that we're going to do. We've removed the upfront cost issue, and that is a big barrier that was in the original scheme, and I discussed this with you on your show before, the €6,000 to access the scheme, that's gone. So there's many positives there. So, and look, I'd be happy, obviously, to keep you updated on progress, and I do, if I could, in conclusion, genuinely thank the working group and all of those who've been involved, who've really represented residents in Donegal so well, and indeed my own colleagues as well in the Oireachtas who have worked very hard on this on behalf of their constituents.
Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage, Dara O'Brien, thanks for joining us.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Ho, ho, festive folk. It's fair to say we deserve to go big this Christmas. And at TK Maxx, we've got every fabulous gift you need to Christmas to the max. There's designer steals for everyone, from your mum to your secret Santa. Big love at small prices this Christmas at TK Maxx.
Show your appreciation for Donegal business this Christmas with Buy Donegal. Visit buydonegal.com to see a host of participating businesses and special offers to start your shopping list. To get involved, buy a product or service from a Donegal business and share on social media. Buy Donegal takes place from the 5th of November to the 31st of December. For more, visit buydonegal.com.
What do you give someone who has everything? Everything, because that's what you get with an Aldi gift card. Choose from delicious Christmas food and drink, or even our legendary Aldi special buys. Values range from €10 to €500. It's perfect for loved ones, and it shows them just how gifted you are. Purchase in-store or buy online. Aldi, make Christmas amazing for everyone. Terms apply. Visit aldi.ie/gift cards for details.
People don't become successful by accident. You've got to know what you want. So take off your shoes, sit down, reach no further than your tablet, type in Skoda, and you've won. Smile about doing less while some other guy is doing loads. Yawn like you've never yawned before. Smile again about the offers from 0%. Then configure your perfect car and fill out the easy online finance application. It's never been easier to be successful. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit skoda.ie for further information.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clara Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Christmas is well underway at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Park for free and get everything you need. Thank you for shopping with us this Christmas. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
It's 9:36. Okay, reaction to yesterday's scheme announcement and maybe even to that interview there with Darragh O'Brien. Paddy Diver joins us. Good morning, Paddy.
Morning there, Greg.
Right, you're at work and I appreciate you taking the time out to speak to us. You've enough on your plate. Your reaction to the announcement yesterday, I thought it interesting. I don't know if you heard, we were speaking to Darragh O'Brien. He seems to be suggesting that this 1,000 square foot cap before we enter a sliding scale is a movable feast. He says it could be independently changed to 1,500, 2,000.
What do you mean 1,500, 2,000?
Well, in the interview, I was asking him about this 1,000 square footage, with the initial rate and then the sliding scale beyond. He says that independently could be set higher. He insists that people who engage in the scheme will not have to put their hands in their own pockets.
Hey, listen, if that's true, that's brilliant. Because when I looked at the scheme yesterday, at the start I was thinking, right, this could possibly work. And whenever I was chatting to Charlie then after, he phoned and I said to him, Charlie, this is a mess. Like, we can't, that's more or less like an average of 125. This is a disgrace. But Charlie kept pushing on to me and he kept pushing on and he started to turn around and says, listen, in February, the CSSI is going to change. And I says, but Darragh Breen says February, Michael Martin says April. I says, Charlie, if it's April, it's a waste of time. I said, but if it's February and this changes, what does it mean? It's going to change the housing authority prices. So that means that it actually could go up to a price of €160 a square foot. If it actually goes up to what a housing authority, it could still work. But I'm just worried about the lack of detail that's there and the way they've threw it out. It's so frustrating that we're so close and yet we seem so far away.
It sounds like a communication thing because what they announced yesterday is not really what... Some might feel they're just trying to kick this into the next year. Some might say they just wanted some figures to announce yesterday with the review in February or April. It's so confusing. It's hard to get, for me to get my head around it. Don't know how it must feel for those who are affected by it.
I'm so frustrated. They should be embarrassed to come out with a scheme after all these months that they're doing. You actually think, what were they doing through the summer that they come out with a statement like this? Like, there's a lack of detail on it is unbelievable. As the demolition and the price of the square foots, as the ESB disconnecting and hooking on, the lack of detail is crazy. I think it's embarrassing on their behalf, I think.
Is there enough here to work on though, Paddy? Because a lot of people are looking to the likes of you and others and in the Mica Action Group saying, well, what next? What do we do now? Do we wait and see? Do we take to the streets? Do we,
I said to Charlie yesterday, what is it, Charlie? I said, you more or less come out and call out there. Is it a war you want? I said, because if it's a war you want, it's a war you'll get. As I've been on the phone to the farmers and the fishers and the haulage, I says, a revolution, I says, it's just around the corner if you just keep messing the people about. But he keeps trying to calm me down and says, Patrick, you're overstepping. He says, calm down. He says, February, when this CSSA comes out in February, he says, this will be up with your current standards, like a housing authority gets. So if I'm led to believe that, I said to him, I said, well, I'll tell you one thing, Charlie. If it's April, that's a wire you're going to get. I said, if you can come back to me tomorrow and tell me that it's February and we will be up to housing authorities, how can I go to the streets of Dublin if he tells me that?
So, can you explain to me then, if it's brought up to the housing authority levels, how does that affect this whole sliding scale and the concern people have about having to sort of come up with your 45, your 50 or your 60 grand depending on the size of the house?
No, but you see, that's what Charlie's saying. That sliding scale, the sliding scale has to go. It's a straight through square foot rate. It's kind of the way it's going to have to be. Like, it's 170 down the west of Ireland for a square foot rate. And I told this to Charlie. It's about 220 down in Dublin. And it's 150 up in Donegal. At least it's 100. It's really 150 plus, maybe up to 160. But at the same time, I says, Charlie, he's a 125. I says, totally and utterly pathetic. There's not a contractor in Ireland that can do this here. But he keeps pushing back. This February, we will be up to the current standards. And if that means it's up at 150, we'll get 150. And if it's up to 160, but as I'm trying to tell him, but this sliding scale as the killer has to go. This sliding killer has me confused, being honest.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I'm not on my own in that. Also, in our interview with Dara O'Brien, he was very clear and has very little sympathy for anyone who didn't have their second property registered with the RTB on November 1st. He says there's going to be, no wiggle room in that. If you weren't registered on November the 1st, you can't avail of this scheme.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing about it. I'm not naive enough to think that in life we're going to get everything we want. And I always said, listen, we didn't want to leave nobody behind, but we've all known here the farmers and the bank and the commercial buildings that they weren't getting a snuff out there. There's always a case there of the legal route. Or if we can get a farmer representative to come on and help come to Mica Action Group, or a business to come on to the Mica Action Group. And even now, it's looking like the holiday homes. We need new faces. Like, there's a lot of people who's been through this here for a long time, and when they get us here, they're looking out. They're tired. They've done the family homes things. They need new faces to come on and represent us here, because you can see the government are not giving us everything.
Right, so Paddy, again, people are going to be looking to you. What does this mean for December, January into February? Do we wait and see, the reevaluation? Keep pushing on the sliding scale? Like, what happens in terms of, your focus? Do you switch off now as much as you can until February and wait and see, or what's the story?
No, listen, I'm getting all the ducks lined up here, because if they try and hoodwink us again and it goes on to April, if it goes on to April, it's not going to happen. There's going to be a revolution. I am on the phone to the farmers. I'm trying to get numbers and get everybody lined up and ready to see what their action is. So there's a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls just to see where we're at. And that's kind of where we're at the minute.
All right, listen, Paddy, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. All right, take care of yourself. We're also joined by Barry Kearney, a campaigner on this issue. The sliding scale issue, a lot of confusion here. And as I say, on a personal level, I'm glad it's not just me that can't get my head around it, because I don't know if you heard any of Dara O'Brien's interview, Barry, but he seems to say that it's not necessarily 1,000, it could be 1,500, it could be 2,000. He says whatever it takes, he'll be told independently, whatever it takes to fix these houses, to limit, if not remove, the need for homeowners to put their hands in their own pockets. He seems to suggest that this scheme allows for that.
Good morning, Greg. Greg, this is a deliberate exercise by Dara O'Brien, by Charlie McConroe, if anyone watched him last night on the Tonight Show. The campaigners have always said that the devil is in the detail, and once again, that has been proved correct. The difference, I think, this time is not just the campaigners, every single homeowner yesterday here. Now, I'll try my best and provide some clarity here around this sliding scale. So, based on the first, where these figures are coming from, right? Based on the first 43 houses that have been processed through Donegal County Council, the of the rebate per square foot of those houses is €150. That is what the market, construction market, is telling us. here in Donegal. But that's what the price is at. Now, that price is only going one way, Greg, and it's not down. That price is only going to go up. Okay, so that's based on the first 43 houses. That's where that 150 square foot rate comes out of, right? The next point then is yesterday, this €138 that was being talked about, that was the SCSI calculator's rate for Donegal. Okay, now I appeal to anyone today, any single homeowner or any person watching in here, go on the website of the SCSI calculator, type in Donegal, type in your area, any area in the country, that will give you a figure, okay? And that figure is not a split rate, Greg. That figure is not a split rate. That is a flat rate for the size of your home. So if you have a 2,000 square foot home, you're getting €138 based on that calculator, a flat rate across the board. Okay. The second point I want to make is last night, and Charlie McConnell said it last night on the Tonight Show. Darrell Bryan just said it in your show. They threw innocent homeowners out of that working group completely under the bus and said that they came up with a split rate in the working group, this sliding scale. That is a total lie.
Well, there's a bit of gymnastics going on there because he did say that it did come up during the talks process, but I did ask him directly, which I think is the key question: was this a homeowner's idea? And to that he said no.
Yeah.
So why throw it in? Why throw in the conversation in the working group? Because of course, and we'll be speaking to Michael Doherty later on. He clarified the situation and the context in which it was discussed and shelved as part of that process. To throw it in the conversation now is quite distracting.
Yeah, the key point that everybody needs to realise here, Greg, and this is the key point, and this is we know exactly what the minister and his colleagues are trying to do here. Okay. The key point that everyone needs to realise is this morning, based on the average sized home in Donegal, a homeowner based on that sliding scale has to find 65,000 to fix their home.
But you're not satisfied then with Darragh O'Brien saying that this will be independently reviewed. He muddied the water a little bit on the 1,000 square feet. He says no one will be out of pocket. He's really confident of that. His words seemed like he believes that these houses will be rebuilt at no cost to the homeowner. That doesn't satisfy you, though, because it's not clear as to how. It's not clear as to how it'll be achieved. What he says will be achieved.
Yeah. That sliding scale, as Michael Doherty talked about last night, that is a bolt-on by the housing department. That is a terms and condition or a devil in the detail that they have stuck in here with the sole purpose of trying to save money. And the second point he mentioned in his talk there, this was a calculated insertion by the officials and the Department of Housing and the government. They knew that by putting a sliding scale that they would take out some of the homeowners here. They would have, meaning them having to dump their hands into their pocket. And the second term and condition that they stuck in there was completely and utterly calculated because they knew, having done their own analysis on the Residential Tenancies Board, they knew that the vast majority of landlords in Donegal were not RTB registered. While he's telling you there that it's a requirement by law, any homeowner or any landlord who has a home that has a HAP family in there, that is not a requirement in that contract that they signed up to the Residential Tenancies Board.
He's quite firm in it being the law.
Yeah, because
we got information. I think it was Councillor. I don't want to attribute it to the wrong person yesterday, but said clearly that it's not that you can. Yeah. It's not obligatory.
Yeah, this, in my opinion, Greg, yesterday, this sliding scale was a complete and utter 11th hour insertion by whoever decided to do this. And again, it's back down the same old road. This is what they done the last time. The difference this time, though, is that they hope not just the Mica campaigners or the Mica Action Group or anyone else, every single homeowner last night, you can see it across social media, was fully aware of what was going on. And I would like to just give a special mention to Martin Bradley, who actually came up with an excellent spreadsheet that got shared last night.
Very informative.
To give very informative and give the true picture of what's happening here, you know.
All right.
Disgusting.
Thanks for your time, Barry. I appreciate it. I really do.
Well,
Okay, that was, we heard from Paddy Differ there and also Barry Kearney. Loads of guests coming up. Stay with us.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Hello there, Daniel here with great news from Divers Hyundai. Hyundai have decided to subsidise the €2,500 grant recently discontinued by the government on the Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid. Prices remain the same as last month, and so to avail of this fantastic offer, simply book your car before the end of the year, when you can also choose from the 3.9% finance package or 5 years free servicing.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open. New ranges of clothing for boys and girls from Nike, Adidas and Under Armour. Adidas tracksuits from only €45. Nike quarter zips with matching bottoms from only €25. Join our Christmas Club today. Check in store for details. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Bank of Ireland's Begin Together programme supports people and community groups across the country with a vision, passion and drive to make things better.
Here at the Irish Traditional Music Archive, we preserve and share the music, song and dance traditions of Ireland. Thanks to Begin Together, we can help artists breathe new life into these art forms.
Tomorrow will be better if we begin together. Bank of Ireland. Begin.
Millionaire Raffle from the National Lottery is back, with €1 millionaire guaranteed and over €4.8 million in cash prizes to be won. It's the biggest ever. The draw takes place on New Year's Eve and tickets are limited, so pick up yours today. The National Lottery. It could be you. Gift responsibly.
Bluebird Care are looking for you. Bluebird Care are currently seeking carers and nurses to join their ever-expanding team. Immediate starts for carers in all parts of Inishowen and Donegal town. Bluebird Care are also looking for registered general nurses in the west of the county for day and nighttime shifts. Contact Bluebird Care on 074 9129 562 or bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Good morning, Minister Charlie McConnell. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're hearing, I'm sure you've been contacted, you've been in conversation with those affected by this, those campaigning by on their behalf and also affected by this. They believe that it's going to end up costing a lot of people a lot of money, that this is another scheme that's sold as in this instance, 100% scheme, but it won't be 100%.
Yeah, listen, thanks for having me on, Greg. And listen, I totally understand the anxieties of families. It's a really anxious time. It was an important moment as well in relation to the publication of the scheme and the culmination of all the work that's gone on over the last number of weeks and months. And every family is looking at this to see how does it impact them? How do they ensure that they get their house rebuilt? Or how do they ensure they get their house remediated? And the details are really important in relation to this. And we've made every effort possible to ensure as much detail as possible is clear within the scheme and in terms of how it's going to work.
But you'd admit that it's not clear, despite your best efforts, it's not clear at all. Because there's people here that are embedded deep into this and have worked on it 24 hours a day for this year and even well before that can't fully make head nor tail of it. But I mean, people are digesting it at the moment. The key aspect, and obviously the key concern that people have at the moment is around that square foot rate, Greg. And that was a central consideration in relation to putting together the scheme, and also in relation to ensuring that the scheme will adjust year in year as this evolves, because we all know the scale of the work that's going to be involved. We know it's going to take probably at least a decade to do that, so it's going to be really important that every year it's reflective of what's happening in relation to the cost. Let's take an average 2,500 square foot building. You explain to me then, as someone who signed off on this, how that is done, under what was announced yesterday, with not having to come up with 50 or 60,000 euro?
Yeah, well, for example, if you take it at the moment in terms of the scheme that was announced yesterday for a 2,500 square foot property, which is maybe 100 or 200 square foot higher than what the average has been in so far. Now, it would be a bit above what the average in the average home in the county is, but it's at 100 or 200 square foot above what the average applicant so far has been. So that 2,500 square foot property, in the outgoing scheme, the maximum grant that could be got for that was €247,000. Deducted from that 247 also had to be, for example, the upfront engineering costs.
But if we could just park the last scheme, because there's people that got Mica since the last scheme. I'm going to just explain to me how people build a house without having to try and find the money themselves.
So to explain that the grant level based on the 2001 SPCSI figures, which were from the start of this year and which will be updated now in February to reflect what's happened over the course of 2021. And we know there's been a lot of movement over 2021 in relation to materials, in relation to building costs, and that has to be updated now in February through the SPCSI process.
Definitely February, by the way.
Every year. That's absolutely, yeah. But that is a plan. We're asking the SPCSI, and the intention is that that'll be provided in February, and every effort will be made to ensure that is delivered in February. And that will also not just important for next year; it's important for every single year after that happens. But as we're still in 2021. And we don't have the end of the year or the 2021 inflation figures, that will come in February. Based on what we know, so we brought clarity to that yesterday. We're basing it on the 2021 situation, which we'll update in February. But we tried to bring as much clarity as we could, be basing it on the figures that are there now, which we'll update in February. But based on that, for that 2,500 square foot property, which you're referring to, which I said previously would have got 247,000 max, it will now get an its grant under what's proposed yesterday to be updated in February, but as of yesterday will be €305,000 plus an extra €20,000 on top of that for the rental and the storage cost.
So
now, if you take,
again, it's just I'm not labouring the point, but so the figure is struck at 1,000 square feet initially, and then there's a sliding scale. Okay, now if a builder, let's just use the 150, right? So the builder says I can build it for 150. That's for the first 1,000 square foot. Now, for the remainder 1,500, the scheme would slide down to, let's say, €110. So that would leave me €40 down per square foot for the 1,500. Explain to me how that doesn't leave me out of pocket, and that will help an awful lot of people. If you can explain that.
Well, the first thing is that revision at the start of each year to reflect inflation the previous year. Yeah. Okay, that is to accommodate the likes of what you described there in terms of what's going on in the market. That's the role of that. In relation to what was announced yesterday with regard to the sliding scale of a figure for the first 1,000 square feet, the second 1,000 square feet, and the remainder. So as I say, for that 2,500 square foot property, the grant for that, using that calculation, would be €305,000.
No, but if you just explain this. The market rate will be struck for the first 1,000 square feet. So let's say that's 150. The scale then slides for the remainder or for a portion to 110. Okay. In simple terms, that €40 deficit, right, between how much a builder would be charging me and how much I would get on the scheme, how is that made up?
Well, so overall, in relation to
if I come under 420,000, it's all paid for.
Yes, you can get paid up to a maximum of €420,000. But so the thing, I mean, the idea behind the phasing or the adjustment of it as it goes on is that, and from a surveying point of view, the larger the house, the more economies of scale you have in relation to that. So, for example,
is there an economy of scale in the figure struck at 150 per square foot?
But for example, to make this point, Greg, so let's say if you set just a flat rate right across all of it, right across the whole across the board, okay, let's say it was 138, okay, which is where the SCSI is at the moment. You set that across the board, okay, then your upfront costs and your starting costs, let's say for an average style property, let's say a 3-bed semi, it might be 1,500 square feet, 1,600 square feet. Well, they would be availing of €138 per square foot for their house. But they would have a lot of upfront costs in that as well, in terms of design, etc. All of that, getting builders on site, it's more expensive at the start of it. But if you only had one flat rate going right throughout it, then that property would have would be better off, for example, with a higher rate in the first part.
So let me ask again. Let me ask again.
So the scale then for the remainder where you
the first 1,000 foot is struck at 150. Let's say that's the going rate, right? And I've got another 15, right? But you're only giving me 110. Again, just explain to me where that shortfall.
So that's going to have to be, but again, that is going to have to be assessed by the SBCSI as well to make sure that the second 1,000 square feet and the third 1,000 square feet is reflective of the market cost of actually building a house that size. And that's what will be updated in February and will be assessed through the SBCSI. But if you were, the point I was making there...
So what's the function of the sliding scale then? Sorry, what is the function of the sliding scale?
The function of the sliding scale is, and listen, you're making the point earlier on in relation to the working group. This was something that was considered and teased out the working group as well, that idea that the first, whatever it would be, 1,000 square foot, 1,500 square foot, what the suggestion, discussion of the working group was that the first 1,700 square foot would be set at a certain rate, and that the remainder would be set at a different rate. And the square foot at the working group discussion, where that was discussed, that was a rate of 138 for the first 1,700 square foot and 118 for the remainder. And that was where that was at. So this obviously is three different scales, the first 1,000 square foot, the second and the third. But the key thing is that those costings are reflective of what's happening in the market. And that's why in terms of the engagement now, the SPCSI, that will be considered and delivered.
So you signed off finally. You signed off.
The start of February.
You signed off yesterday on a 100% redress scheme. You're certain of that?
Absolutely. The key principle behind this scheme, Greg, is delivering 100% redress. That is the key principle. We gave as much clarity as we could yesterday based on the existing SPCSI, because that will be the structure that's used every year going forward to make sure that the scheme is robust, that it's fit for purpose, and that it adjusts with time each year to make sure the scheme is as relevant and covers costs in 5 and 6 years' time in the same way it does today. And that's I know that's the critical point people are looking at. It's essential for people that is appropriate to the market costs, and that's why that structure is in there, and that will be updated in February to reflect that. And if I can just touch now as well on some of the other issues. Now, obviously, in relation to options 2 to 5.
Okay, news is just going to be a couple of minutes late, but carry on, yeah.
In relation to options 2 to 5, that will be something that will be the option for a lot of people as well, again at 100%. And really importantly in there is a certification process for that. Similar to what happened in the pyrite remediation scheme, that green cert process to ensure that value and insurability can be applied to that home. And also to ensure that there's confidence given to homeowners the opportunity to reapply to the scheme. And just if I can go over some other details.
Well, all of this was already done by the Housing Minister.
The key objective, and then you'll get a lot of flack in this job and when you're involved in delivering these things. But the key objective here is to deliver a scheme which works for homeowners. And just to give some of the other key things which are adjusted. So obviously that upfront cost, that will now be covered by the housing agency, not by the homeowner. So the homeowner's only cost will be the second €600 or €700 assessment at the start. Previously, they had to pay for that. It had to be taken out of their €247,000 maximum allowable, and then they had to look for it to be recouped later on. Really important development and a stronger outcome than was in the place for the remediation scheme was the one rental per owner as well. So even if your private residence is affected and you also have a rental, you will also get the rental in there. That wasn't the case in the private remediation scheme, and that is a development on it. The rental costs are really important. What I'd say to anyone who has been renting or is renting is to make sure to keep their documents and keep their receipts, because they will be recouped for that. That's currently in that situation.
Yes.
That's up to €15,000 and €5,000. If you look at the pirate scheme, Greg, it was €5,000 maximum for rental, €3,000 for
storage. The likes of connecting to ESB, demolition, is demolition covered as part of the costs?
Demolition is part of the assessment of the SBCSI rebuild cost. Yes, It is part of their calculation, and that'll be updated. That'll be updated again as part of the February process.
Right. Unfortunately, that's where we have to leave it. Thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. That was Minister Charlie McConnell. We'll be back with more after the news at 10. Apologies, coming to you a couple of minutes late.
Live, on air, online, and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News. Good
morning. It is 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The Housing Minister has admitted there is more work to be done on the enhanced Mica Redress scheme, which was unveiled yesterday. Much criticism has been voiced over the inclusion of a €145 per foot square cap for the first 1,000 square foot of a property, which could leave homeowners still forking out tens of thousands of euro. Mental health supports and the removal of upfront costs are among a number of measures to be included also. However, Mica-affected holiday homes remain excluded, and rental properties, while now under the remit of the scheme, must have been registered with the RTB as of November 1st. Speaking on this morning's 9 till noon show, Minister Darragh O'Brien said he's confident that once the square foot sliding scale is revised early next year, homeowners will receive 100% redress.
There is work to be concluded by February in relation to a new rate. And I'm saying to you now that I'm confident when that work is completed, that in all remediation options, and actually options 2 to 5 don't require that rate, that will be full 100%. The work that we will do and be done independently of me will take into account building cost inflation. So that rate should, and I expect will, ensure that residents will not have to, where a fair price is struck, have to contribute to the scheme.
Well, Mica campaigner Paddy Differ says he has had a conversation with the Agriculture Minister Charlie McConalogue, in which he said the sliding scale is confusing and has to go. The government says in February the per foot rate will change based on housing agency assessments of prevailing market conditions. Paddy Differ says if that happens in February in a way that guarantees homeowners will not be out of pocket, then that's acceptable. However, he said, if the issue is kicked down the road to April or beyond, then the government will have a war on its hands. On today's 9 till noon show, he said the most important thing now is clarity on that per foot rate.
It's a straight through square foot rate is kind of the way it's going to have to be. Like, it's 170 down the west of Ireland for a square foot rate. And I told this to Charlie. It's about 220 down in Dublin. And it's 150 up in Donegal, maybe up to 160. But at the same time, I says, Charlie, he's a 125. I says, totally and utterly pathetic. There's not a contractor in Ireland that can do this here. But he keeps pushing back this February. We will be up to the current standards. And if that means it's up at 150, we'll get 150. And if it's up to 160, but as I'm trying to tell him, but this sliding scale is the killer. That has to go.
Other news, and the Education Minister says children who don't wear face masks to school will be sent home. From today, students in 3rd class and above will have to wear masks in school. Only students who have a medically certified exemption will be allowed to attend without a face covering. It comes as COVID cases among 5 to 12-year-olds have increased by 47% in the space of 2 weeks. Minister Norma Foley says it is an expert-recommended safety measure.
If you provide a medical certificate explaining the situation regarding your child, obviously will be exempted. But if you do not do that, there has to be clarity around this. It has to be operational. It is a safety measure, and that will be the scenario that students who do not comply and do not have a medical basis will be asked to stand down from school.
1.4 million people are set to receive their Christmas bonus next week. More than €313 million will be paid into bank accounts by the Department of Social Protection from December 6th. Pensioners, carers, those with disabilities, lone parents and long-term social welfare recipients are among those who will benefit. People on the PUP or job seekers will only be eligible if they've been on the payments for 12 months. And a state watchdog says the government is kicking the can down the road on pension reform. A government-established pension commission recently said the state pension age will have to rise due to the country's ageing population. However, the government recently delayed raising the pension age to 67 until 2028. The chair of the Irish Fiscal Advisory Council, Sebastian Barnes, says this may create problems.
But one concern is that by having the increase in the pension age in 2028, that's quite a long time from today. It's maybe 2 general elections between now and then. And so it does rely on the willingness of a future government to implement these policies. And that's a risk, right? It partly does kind of kick the can down the road.
Looking at the weather forecast, Met Éireann tell us it'll stay cold and windy this morning with scattered showers and some sunny spells developing. Some of the showers will be heavy though, with falls of sleet likely, along with the risk of hail. Highest temperatures this afternoon just 6 to 8 degrees Celsius in fresh to strong and gusty northwesterly winds. They'll ease as we head toward evening. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Wednesday morning, December the 1st. The death has occurred of Marie Doherty, née Hughes, Corrine Ballybuffet. Fiona leaving her home on Friday morning at 11:15 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorlar at 12 noon, interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. The house and funeral will be strictly private to the immediate family only, please. The death has taken place of Grace McFadden, née Murray, late of Ballinteer, Dublin, and formerly of Ballylawn, Manor Cunningham, County Donegal. Grace will be reposing in the Larry Massey Funeral Home, Eden Centre, Grange Road, Rathfarnham, tomorrow evening from 4 until 6 o'clock. Removal on Friday morning to the Church of St John the Evangelist, Ballinteer, arriving for 11 o'clock Mass, followed by burial in Boher na Brina Cemetery. Grace's funeral Mass may be viewed online on Friday from 11 o'clock on mcmmedia.tv. The death has occurred in Milton Keynes, England, of Mary Argue, née Cullen, formerly of Kilmacrennan, County Donegal. Funeral will take place in England at a later date. The death has taken place of Rosemary Sweeney, formerly of Derry Art, Creeslaw, and Iona Road, Letterkenny. Viewing in the Eternal Light Chapel of West Mountain Top, Letterkenny, this evening from 5 o'clock, followed by removal at 6 o'clock, going to St Michael's Church, Creeslaw. Funeral Mass there tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Doe Cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on mcmmedia.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to a charity of the family's choice, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Joseph Breslin, late of Boreham Wood, Hertfordshire, and R. Patrick Glenties. Joseph's remains will repose at Chauvelin's Funeral Home, Sandfield, Ardra, this afternoon from 4 o'clock until 6:30, followed by removal to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for 7 o'clock to repose overnight. Funeral Mass at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desire to the Donegal Hospice, care of James McGuinness and Sons, Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Hugh McGinley, Barnes Termin. His remains are reposing at St Columbus Church. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Hugh's funeral Mass can be viewed live on St Columbus Church Facebook page. And the death has taken place of Brian Gallagher, 26 Beechwood Road, Letterkenny, and formerly of Glencarscotch, Letterkenny. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Family and close friends welcome. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Junan's Cathedral, with burial afterwards in Comwall Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desire to the Donegal Hospice, care of Joe Logue, Funeral Directors, or any family member. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Loads more guests to come. Don't go anywhere. Michael Doherty, Patrick McLaughlin, amongst those joining us shortly as we continue to unpack and react and try and understand yesterday's announcement and how it will affect you. Loads of your comments coming in as well. Keep them coming to us, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps or texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Here's the bingo and a break, back afterwards.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 1st of December. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 48. The numbers are 88, 72, 50, 59, 31, 68, 64, 67, 51, and finally 82. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Getting ready for Christmas? Why not give your loved ones the gift of choice and purchase an Instaban gift card this year to spend with lots of fabulous stores in town. Get yours online today at instabangiftcard.com. That's instabangiftcard.com.
Burglars are now doing their Christmas shopping. And guess what? They might just be calling with you. Install a wire-free burglar alarm from Sheridan Security Systems before December 31st and get 6 months round-the-clock monitoring free. Contact us today on 912-6025 for a free quotation. Have a peaceful Christmas with Sheridan Security.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
At SuperValue, we want to share even more magic this Christmas by giving you savings off your shopping with our Real Rewards vouchers, which are available on our handy app. So no need to worry about leaving them at home. If you haven't already, download the Real Rewards app to get new vouchers every week until Christmas. Share the magic this Christmas with SuperValue.
Whatever the weather this December, Letterkenny will bring a warm front to your shopping and great value for your pocket. Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK.
Cold and windy with scattered showers and sunny spells developing, though some of the showers will be heavy with some falls of sleet likely. We've seen that in Letterkenny already. Temperatures 6 to 8 degrees. Right, continuing our coverage of yesterday's announcement, and our next guest is Michael Doherty, PRO of the Mica Action Group. Michael, you know, I endeavour when I sit in this seat to try and, you know, get answers or bring clarity, and I hope I haven't been doing people a disservice this morning, but I thought I had a handle on this yesterday and into this morning, but having spoken to Ministers O'Brien and McConnell-Ogue, it seems less clear to me. Has anything been clarified as far as you're concerned today?
So I haven't heard either of them interviews. I was on
don't ask me to
different calls. Don't
worry about that. Don't ask me to paraphrase them.
I'm actually quite clear, Greg, on where it's at, and what we have today, and I'm sure some of the guys that have on already will have made it very clear, the average size house is going to proceed 65,000 short. What has happened here, and I heard reference, I'll work off the Tonight Show last night, and I heard some of the stuff that Minister McConnell come away with, and this idea that the working group come up with it. We were on the working group in the minority, I might add, but what I will also say is that we never subscribed to a split rate. So they may say the working group come up with it, but the working group presented their own final document, and it's on record that we did not approve it anyway. But what I will say is
I put that directly to the Housing Minister. Says, did this come from homeowners? And he said no. I don't know why it was thrown in as part of the discussions, maybe to muddy the waters somewhat, that it was part of the working group. I'm sure a lot of stuff was discussed as part of the working group, but what came out of it was the final document. That's the key piece of information.
Yeah, surely. And you know, if they want to go down that road, well, what happened, and part of the reason for the extension in the working group was that the Housing Department refused to give us any help in terms of what square foot rates would look like. And I remember you would have interviewed myself, you'd have interviewed Eileen at the time, who said, you know, we're ordinary homeowners, we're not QSs, what do we do? So what they suggested was that we link in with the housing agency John O'Connor, the CEO of that housing agency, was also part of the working group, and he said he would put his people together on it. They came back with figures based on that 138, but the housing department insisted upon economy of scale to be put in there. And on the back of that, there was a square foot rate, a split square foot rate proposed by the housing agency, which was €138 for the first 1,700 square feet, and then €118 thereafter. Okay, so that was never signed off on. All that ever was a suggestion by them. So and our part, sorry, Greg, very important, just our part in that was Joe Morgan got involved to go in because he was good with spreadsheets. Joe will tell you himself he wouldn't know the difference in a shovel and a spade. So he was never going to be the man that's going to validate these figures. All he did was to try and understand the spreadsheet, how it worked, so that he could explain it to everybody else. That was the role. But see that 138,118, even if they had used that, we would have been 43,000 better off. Sorry, 43,000 worse off instead of 65,000 worse off. We'd have been €22,000 better off today on the average size house if they had have used the housing agency square foot figures, but they didn't even do that.
Okay.
What they did was they went with the sliding scale that the housing department contrived yesterday, which is actually worse than what the housing agency one that was suggested during the working group.
Explain to me how the sliding scale leaves someone 65,000 down. In other words, they have to. So
very easy, right? We know for a fact that €150, this is well trodden at this stage, €150 is what the market says you need. 43 houses that have been passed through the council confirms that. So if you take roughly the average size house is 2,400 square feet, 2,400 square feet times 150 is 360k. So that's the true cost to the homeowner, 360k as a minimum. And if you then go along and take the sliding scale was applied yesterday, the first 1,000 feet is at €145 a square foot. That is €145,000, right? If you take the next 1,000 feet, they're at €110 a square foot. That brings you up then to, that's another 110,000 you're adding on there. So you're now up at 255,000. You've got 400 square feet left at €100. That's 40,000. 40,000 added to 255 brings you to 295. 295 is what the government will give you. 360 is what the contractor wants. You are 65,000 short that you are going to make up yourself.
Now, both Darragh O'Brien and Charlie McConalogue seem insistent that when there's a re-evaluation in February, that it will kind of be balanced out over the first 1,000 and subsequent thousands. And even Darragh O'Brien suggested that the 1,000 square feet before the slide kicks in, it could be 1,500, he said. It doesn't have to be 1,000. Both of them say that when things are re-evaluated in February, that whatever way that is done and whatever sprinkle dust is put on it, that homeowners will not have to pay. And I put it directly to the Minister O'Brien. Does he believe that people will have to contribute to the rebuild of the houses? This is what he had to say.
There is work to be concluded by February in relation to a new rate. And I'm saying to you now that I am confident when that work is completed, that in all remediation options, and actually options 2 to 5 don't require that rate, that will be full 100%. The work that we will do and be done independently of me will take into account building cost inflation. So that rate should, and I expect will, ensure that residents will not have to, where a fair price is struck, have to contribute to the scheme.
How does that work?
3 things in there that is get out of jail card. He expects, first of all, and that a fair rate will be struck. I can't even remember the other one. But the fair rate will be struck, right? So conditions in there. Number one in there, he expects this to happen. There is nothing in black and white that backs that up in any shape or form. So we're going to be asked to trust them. And you know where we've been on the trust scale with these guys all along. He is also expecting a fair rate to be struck. What does he deem to be the fair rate? We know for a fact, expectations aside, that in fact right now we've got that €150 square foot. What he needs to do, Greg, if he comes along in February time and introduces a new starting point, so it's not 145, it's 160, let's say, right? And he still insists on applying that scale. All you've done is move the whole thing up. The differential is still the same, and the 65,000 remains.
That was exactly my understanding of it. But again, I asked the same question 3 or 4 times, but the same question to Charlie McConalogue, and both of them come out saying that by the time this re-evaluation is done, that all costs will be covered. And I could not get my head around that, because no matter if you increase it by a factor but still maintain... And I asked Charlie McConalogue directly, if the going market rate for the first 1,000 square foot is okay, we could agree, and say it's 165, that's fine. How does the homeowner make up the shortfall with the remainder as the sliding scale goes down? So then if it's 120, how do they make up that 45 per square foot? And the answer again was, through the reevaluation programme, a fair price will be set and all building costs will be covered. And I said to Caroline during the 10 o'clock news, I'm starting to lose my mind here, because I can't figure that out. And that's why I apologise for if I'm in any way complicating this further.
No, not at all. Not at all. What we have here is a people in Donegal an awful lot wiser than what we all were the first time round. And we can smell it and we can see it. This is not going to be much different to what we had before. The other thing I would say in there as well, we have a scheme overall, Greg, that could work here. That is the really annoying part of this. We were so close to having something there we could say, is it perfect? No, it's not. But is it workable? Yes, it's workable. At 145 flat rate across the board, it's workable. And they introduced very, very much at that 11th hour, because I have very, very strong connections now at this stage inside, and nobody knew what happened when this came up.
Here's the thing. The housing minister said that the overwhelming majority of houses will be built for under 420,000. He said it would only leave 2% behind for the 420,000 euro cap. Mm-hmm. If that cap is there to protect the taxpayer in the state, why the need for the sliding scale then? If he believes that 98% of houses will be built for the 420, there's the protection. What is the function then of the sliding scale? And again, I didn't feel I got a very clear answer as to the reason for that.
No, and you're not, because the answers are not palatable. And the reality is the sliding scale saves the exchequer quite a lot of money.
Only if the homeowner chips in, though.
Oh, exactly. Well, yes, exactly right. Well, where you're going to get, they're going to save more than they think, because no homeowner is going to avail of a scheme that's going to cost them on average 65,000. So the scheme basically is dead in the water. Nobody's going to use it, and the problem continues. They have got an opportunity here to go do this right, Greg. Our door's open. We haven't closed doors on anybody. They need to come. If they have got something that's going to give us the comfort that they think that backs up Darragh O'Brien's words, he needs to show us what these formulas looks like. We're not going to work off a few old watery statements and of expect this and hope for that. That doesn't wash anymore. We know what we need. They are trying to prevent themselves having to do that, but it's got to the point where all that's behind us. They can very easily come to a point where we will be in a workable position for this scheme. Remove that sliding scale. That's what they need to do. Now, what I'll also say, if you talk to any quantity surveyor, they're not talking sliding scales, and they'll tell you why themselves. If you bring in a contractor now to start on your house, and say, for example, it takes 40 pallets of slates versus 30 pallets of slates, they're not getting a discount anymore in them last 10 pallets of slates. They're lucky they can get the 40 pallets of slates. If you're looking for a block builder to go build blocks for you now, and he's charging you X amount per block, he's not giving you any economy scale towards the end. That's the reality.
If the government took over the building of these houses and engaged with one contractor or a series of them for 6,000 houses, maybe then it might apply.
Yeah, exactly right. There's going to be economy scale when you move into estates, right? And you're going to go on 20 or 30 houses. Absolutely. But the economy scale does not exist at ground level when you're comparing one-off houses, a smaller house versus a bigger house. The difference between a 2,000 and a 3,000 square foot house, there is no economy scale there that reflects what they have added in terms of discount per square foot rate, which is massive. To drop from 145 to 100 euro, almost a third knocked off that scale. That's absolutely ridiculous. They knew that was never going to work.
In the last minute, what happens between now and February? You've got Minister McConalogue, Minister O'Brien saying by February it'll become clear that this scheme will cover most people and it will cover all of their costs. And there's a lot of good stuff in there, by the way.
Yeah.
The rent, mental health supports. Don't get me wrong, but we have to focus on the sticking points here. What do you do between now and February?
It's simple in our eyes. Where we're at is we have a scheme that'll not work as it stands right now. All the good stuff that you talked about in that scheme is dead in the water because of the fact that we can't afford 65,000 to start with here, right? So all the work going into the scheme basically is negated by this problem of a sliding scale. They need to remove the sliding scale, and if they're not going to remove the sliding scale immediately, they need to give us that firm promise and commitment and something in writing that says when this evaluation is done come February time by SCSI, there will be no sliding scale. And I would suggest to people in the meantime, then, unless you've 65,000 that you're not too worried about, hold back until SCSI come back in February. But if SCSI come back in February and there's still a sliding scale, it's gloves off, because there's absolutely no use to it.
He says he says Minister O'Brien, he says that they might come out with a different recommendation, and the scale, as I say, might not be 1,000, it could be 2,000, I think you said. In the last 30 seconds, pardon my ignorance, what is the process here in terms of it's been signed off at Cabinet? Does this go to the floor of the Dáil, and if so, when?
Yeah, well, there could be 3 or 4 months, and all this by the time is completely signed off.
So it won't be before February. This is the point. In other words, I know you've got a number of TDs on the record saying they'll vote. Maybe they'll vote with you guys. Mm-hmm. We will know that the reevaluation, and February will pass before this comes to a vote on the floor of the Dáil. Then.
Yeah, the principle is what we need to debate now and agree, and then there's the mechanics of the primary legislative world. And what I was told is that there's senior counsel appointed specifically for this to get this pushed through, but it could still take 2, 3, 4 months. We don't know that, and we don't have much control. All we do know is that there's no point in them even thinking about it with what they have on the table right now. The sliding scale cap has to go, or they're wasting their time putting anything through primary legislation. All
right, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Councillor Martin McDermott will join us with his views, and more guests on the way, of course, after this short break.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
This Christmas, give the gift of books from Eason, with something for everyone, like astronaut Chris Hadfield's space thriller The Apollo Murders, fascinating historical insights in Valerie Cox's Independence Memories, kids will love Daughter of the Deep from Percy Jackson creator Rick Riordan, and Adam Kay's educational, entertaining Marvellous Medicine. That's Christmas gifts bringing us together again at Eason, in-store and online.
You can now apply for, renew and update your learner permit or driving licence online at ndls.ie. It's quick and simple to apply online. No paper, no forms, no fuss. And you can apply up to 3 months before your licence expires. Your learner permit or driving licence is now just a click away. All you need is a verified MyGov ID to securely apply at ndls.ie. A message from the National Driver Licence Service and the Road Safety Authority.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Christmas is the season of giving, but it can be difficult to know who on your list wants what. Save yourself the guesswork by giving the gift of choice. Whether you're buying for the foodie, fashionista or homebird of the family, they'll love a Dunnes Stores gift card. They can choose from everything we have in-store and online, from fashion to homewares to groceries. It's the perfect choice to make this Christmas. Visit dunnesstores.com for details. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
We're waiting for a €19 million Lotto jackpot winner. In the meantime, Lotto players have been winning massive prizes. In fact, since the start of October, we've given away €14.2 million worth of Lotto prizes. So get your ticket for Wednesday's draw. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
Visit Santa at the Courtyard Shopping Centre this Thursday to Sunday from 1 to 5 each day. Great gifts and delicious food in a festive atmosphere. The Courtyard Letterkenny. Open this Sunday from 10 to 6.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Continuing our coverage of this enhanced, as it's described, Mica Redress scheme. Thank you for holding Councillor Martin McDermott. Later on in the programme, we'll be joined by Joe McHugh. I wonder, is there enough in this to avoid his resignation, as he committed that he would if it didn't hit the mark? Sinn Féin's Padraig McLaughlin will also join us, and others. Councillor Martin McDermott, your reaction to this announcement?
Good morning, Greg. Look, there's lots of positives in the announcement yesterday. Certainly a lot of the issues that have been taken up over the last, particularly from February of last year to now, to allow people to get into the scheme, the €6,000 gone, the 500 that it'll cost you to get the assessment done, the building condition assessment, the fees for accommodation and the fees for storage.
And all that is good, but we're hearing from my collection group saying don't even engage with this until we get some clarification. So there will be a time, I think, to focus on that. I'm going to come to that.
All that is good. There's lots of good changes to the scheme, but there is no doubt, Greg, that there is a big issue in relation to the square foot rate. That is a fact. This is something that, you know, and I've spoken in your programme a number of times on this with you on many occasions from February of last year when we started talking about this until only as recently as a few days ago. And the issue with the square foot rate and the economies of scale, it just does not work. It doesn't work for the people. And I think that is something that will have to be revisited. And I know I was listening to the Minister this morning, both Minister McConaughey and Minister Darrell O'Brien, that this will be reevaluated by the Surveyors of Ireland, the Chartered Surveyors of Ireland, come February. But you made a very valid point there in your discussions with Michael. In relation to the economies of scale, if we move that square foot rate to a figure of 150, 60, whatever that may be, and we have an economy of scale dropping down then to 100 or 110, there's still as a loss in square foot rate there. And if you discuss this with any surveyor that is doing costs for people with Mica affected homes at the minute, there is no economy of scale in one-off houses. That is something that they don't use at the minute. It's something that they can't use at the minute. So the average rate is somewhere in around that one.
Another thing, say for instance, someone might be now getting a house built, key in the door by a contractor, right? The contractor, say it's a 2,000 square foot house, the contractor doesn't say, I'm going to do the first 1,000 square feet for this rate, and then I'll do the second, well, maybe they do, I'll do the second 1,000 square feet at that rate. What they do is they tell you, actually, key in the door is €220. Is there an out there some way in how we value, that contractors deliver an average, you know what I mean, that sits somewhere between the higher rate and the lower rate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that makes very valid sense. And I think that, we had that average, we worked very hard on to get an average of that and looked at all the houses that are through the scheme at the minute. And that average is somewhere in around €150 a square foot. And we've had lots of discussions with engineers. And
so in other words, specific to this process, in February, a rate could be struck at the high rate, say 165, the low rate 140, and someone could access this taking an average across the board. But then what confuses me is what's the function of the sliding scale at all?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's one of the things that we are asking as well, is the sliding scale. And I know that they're using the sliding scale as part of the Chartered Surveyors of Ireland, but as you know, if you go onto that calculator, that doesn't use a sliding scale. I assume that this is something that is being done by department officials in relation to how they cap figures of the 2,000 to 3,000 square foot houses.
Charlie McConaughey also said demolition will be included in this evaluation. That would be, I mean, obviously, this system that you can employ to get a square foot price is not going to factor in for every new build demolition. So how would that work? How would demolition be factored into the cost per square feet?
Well, I suppose when you get your square foot rate or your price for your house from a contractor now to come and demolish and rebuild your house, he's giving you a cost. Let that be 150, 200, 300, 400,000, whatever that may be. He has that already built into his costs. So that square foot rate then of the size of your house versus the price that you have to pay will give you a square foot rate.
So we're going to have. So we then need a separate valuation to the regular national one. In other words, if I'm building a new house and I want to find out what the average square foot rate is, I can engage with this. What's it called again? Sorry, the
Chartered Surveyors of Ireland.
Chartered Surveyors of Ireland, right? But then someone obviously with a micro-affected home wouldn't be wanting to access the same portal as I, because according to Minister John McConnell, demolition costs will be included in it. Is that how it gets scaled up?
That's right. So that's correct. If you went on to that today, it's for a build. It's for you to build a new house. The Chartered Surveyors of Ireland will be taking into consideration the demolish and rebuild of the existing dwelling that you have. So that demolition cost will be included in that square foot rate that they come up with. And that's vitally important that it is, but it's vitally important that it's taken into consideration as to the cost that the demolishes are at the minute. And that's quite substantial when someone has to come on to demolish a house and take it away to a registered contractor that can take that waste away and get rid of it in the appropriate manner. And that does cost quite considerable amounts of money.
So, I mean, what do you wait and see till February, or do you believe there's work to be done between now and then? I don't understand, right? And I said this to Dara Bryan directly. This could be this entire 3 hours could be completely different if there wasn't this confusion in here. And the further I went into the interviews with both Minister McConnell and Minister O'Brien, the more confused I get, because they were playing down the sliding scale, that it won't be a factor, that the new figures will sort of leave it to the point where no one will be out of pocket, but not really being able to explain that to me in the context of the sliding scale. You know, I would love to come out and for this to be a positive programme.
Look, Greg, we all would love, and I think we have to acknowledge, you know, again, the amount of good stuff that there is in this. This is much better scheme than what it has been. The foundations now will be tested as part of your house. You know, there's lots of great stuff in this, but I think the sticking point here is the square foot rate, and I feel that, you know, it's disappointing that's where we are now at the minute. But I think we have a scheme that can work. We have lots of things that are taken in there that can work and that will work. And I think that if we work on the square foot rate and get that right, and I think the government have a chance still to get that right, you know, between now and February, they have an opportunity to get this right. And, you know, I think it's very vitally that we acknowledge the hard work, hours and hours of work that the Mica Action Group and the working group have put on from last June until last night at 1 o'clock in the morning. And hours upon hours that no one sees the work that they've done. And I think that needs to be acknowledged and acknowledged very heavily.
And I think when this is over the line, you know, they might feel, well, that's the time, because there still seems to be an awful lot of work. But I understand.
But they're prepared to do that work, and we're prepared to stick with this and make sure. Look, the outcome we want here at the end of the day is that people can get their homes fixed and put back to where they were before this nightmare.
I mean, we're so close.
Like, no cost.
This is
what's
so
frustrating.
Close. It's very frustrating. Okay, thanks, Councillor, for your time this morning. More guests on the way.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Ah, Christmas. A time of caring, sharing and compromises. Like deciding which presents make your list or which in-laws you're going to for dinner. But with OnPost Mobile, there are no contracts, no bills and no compromises. Just unlimited calls, texts and a whopping 50 gigabytes of 4G data with 99% population coverage. All for only €15 a month, and you get the first month free when you switch. Switch to OnPost Mobile today and shop our range, including the Samsung A02s from $129.95 at onpost.com/mobile. Or at your local post office. OnPost Mobile, for your world. €15 unlimited available for new customers. Fair usage policy applies. For terms and conditions, see onpost.com/mobile.
Silent nights are the toughest. And right now, someone near you may feel that all hope is gone. You can help. Please go to pieta.ie and donate whatever you can to keep Pieta suicide prevention services free and available for anyone who needs them this Christmas. Pieta, ending suicide, beginning hope.
Homeland fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Eco Bright, buy 5 bags for €50. Softwood logs, 3 bags for €10. 1 kg fire logs, 4 for €5. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
Walk the line with the amazing Johnny Cash and June Carter Tribute Show. Cash returns when it comes to the Alley Theatre Strabane on Friday the 3rd of December. If you're a fan of the Man in Black, you simply cannot miss this spectacular night and listen to The Ring of Fire, I Walk the Line, Hurt, Jackson, plus loads more. This award-winning show starts at 8 p.m. with the last remaining tickets now available at the box office. That's Cash returns live at the Alley Theatre Strabane Friday the 3rd of December.
At Super Value, we want to share even more magic this Christmas by giving you savings off your shopping with our Real Rewards vouchers, which are available on our handy app. So no need to worry about leaving them at home. If you haven't already, download the Real Rewards app to get new vouchers every week until Christmas. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value.
Every home needs that something special. At Max Light Lighting, that's exactly what we can do for your home. High quality, stylish interior lighting and illuminated mirrors at exceptional value. See maxlight.ie or call into Callahan Electrical in Letterkenny Retail Park and see a selection of our lights that will give your home that wow factor.
With more to celebrate than ever this year, Christmas is going to be special. So why not make it even better with the superb range of corporate gifts from Value Centre, your local wholesaler for over 50 years. You can choose from our range of beautifully curated food and drink hampers, or we will create a bespoke gift at your request. Contact your local Value Centre for details. Value Centre. We value you. Trade only. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Christmas is well underway at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Park for free and get everything you need. Thank you for shopping with us this Christmas. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time now is 10:45. Stay tuned. I want to get some of your comments as well, which are coming in thick and fast. Hi, Greg. As a homeowner with my house badly affected by Mica and deemed to be demolished, I'm happy with this package. I know a few people, homeowners, feel the same. The Mica Action Group have done great work alongside the people. Pavi Differ is the hero who finally brought this mess to another level. We need to get our lives back. Time is running out for some, but you're so close. You could get it over the line where it's much better for everyone. If I take this scheme, I'll have to put up €173,000. Where am I going to get this money at this stage? I built and designed my house myself. This scheme is a complete shambles. Another caller has a house affected by Mica, bought it as turnkey. If the house is to be demolished and rebuilt, will the house be rebuilt to the same turnkey standard? Another, why are the insurance companies not paying out for any of these affected houses? Well, they've made their... They said it's not their problem. There's not an element of work that they cover. If someone has to rent but is living with a family member and is paying them, do they still qualify for the rent allowance? That's a very individual inquiry, and I'm not sure it would be even answerable at this stage. What I cannot understand, if the people have been... Well, the problem with that is if you're paying rent, that would be an income to the people that you're renting off, and if they're declaring that income, I imagine you can. If they're not, it could get complicated. What I cannot understand, says this texter, if the people have been told the cap is up to 420k, why would people have to spend so much money, as Barry said, when the majority of houses are priced between 200,000 and 300,000? Well said, Barry. Slide and scale guff, which is designed to divide again. Greg, a full programme must be dedicated to this issue ASAP, which is what we're doing at the moment. People are not getting enough time to explain the case accurately. Government reps only deflect or don't answer the questions. Dara O'Brien couldn't answer yours. Rebalance to be raised by the homeowners, to the point where I actually got to the stage where, because I was putting myself in this position, I'm thinking, right, okay, so the cost there is for the first 1,000. That's what the contractor wants. The contractor wants the rest for the second 1,000, but I'm only being given, 30% less. Where does that come from? I asked the question multiples of time. Then apparently it'll be evaluated and they'll determine a price that's fair is the answer. But as I say, that's not black and white. That's maybes, that's possiblies. Hello, Greg. Can you please tell us, is the engineer fee done away with, and how do you get on the scheme? Thanks for everything. They said no upfront costs, so any minor upfront costs will be refunded once you're on the scheme. So that $7,000 figure is no longer applicable. And we'll get details for you as to how you get on the scheme. If the Mica houses are rebuilt, will they use the same block providers? Another caller says, listening to radio and very confused. One person says people won't have to pay money for redress, and others say you will. Who's telling the porkies? Well, I doubt anyone's telling porkies. What they're doing is they're coming with their interpretation of it. The government's interpretation is that this is a 100% redress scheme. Those who have been campaigning for it are looking at it. They're looking at the detail and they're saying, hold on a second. Your average house, you're going to have to come up with $65,000 of your own money. It's through this conversation, this debate and platforming and debating it is that we try and get to the bottom of it. The RTB court in Sligo has stopped many illegal evictions in Letterkenny of vulnerable tenants with disabilities. Thank you for that. Are we going to hear from Joe McHugh this morning? You are going to hear from him before the end of the show. RTB slide and scale and looking to rate next year are more ways of cutting the cost. People paid in good faith for their property and have now been let down again. Greg, no acknowledgement of the root cause. Thanks for that, Liam. Such nonsense from the minister and his party saying Sinn Féin didn't contribute to the Mica scheme resolution. In my opinion, Sinn Féin always said the only scheme that they wanted was, and that is what they still want. I think what he's referencing is what they declared publicly, and we've had that conversation on this programme. I think what he's saying is a submission to the process. So in other words, that's what Minister O'Brien was referencing. Obviously, what Sinn Féin believe they would do in this situation is on the record. O'Brien mentions the word fairness an awful lot while talking costs to the scheme. Fairness is a scarce commodity for the families who've been landed with this mess through no fault of their own. Another what a load of waffle from the government minister. It's no wonder the country's the way it is with wafflers like that. It's a disgrace. So sad. I'm losing faith in the government more and more every day. I don't even want to raise my children here anymore. Another caller says, Greg, market value is not connected to replacement value. Another, the government did not do their jobs. That's why we are in this crisis. Second homes, holiday homes, farm sheds, businesses all deserve to be reimbursed for buying the faulty blocks, which the government did not regulate. The scheme is not redress. This is a smokescreen dressed up. I'd have been better off taking the 90-10 scheme. We marched in Dublin and the promise that no one would be left behind. And I'm ready to march again, they say. More here. Our family's home is semi-detached to a holiday home. Do we fix ours and let theirs crumble? What do we do in this instance? We actually have a holiday either side of us, holiday homes, and one opposite us. In a cul-de-sac of 7 properties, only 2 are principal residents. 1 a rental property, 3 the holiday homes, and 1 vacant for sale. Wow. Hi, just wondering about the testing for Mica. I'm waiting on my results back and wondering, do I have to pay the $6,000 now or am I exempt? Thanks, Greg. As part of the new scheme, you wouldn't have to pay that. But I'll tell you what to do in relation to that. Today's programme is about reacting to the scheme. What we will do in the near future is talk about the actual scheme itself. When would it come in? How would you apply for it? What's in and what's out? Because that is very, very important information too. But at the moment, we're just trying to get the reaction from those people we've been speaking to, some of them for 10 years at this stage on this programme and in the newsroom. So it's important, as this seems to be, although there could be some changes, the final sort of situation, we will dedicate time to that down the line. Right, stay with us. We have another guest joining us after this quick break.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres ready for winter. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 91-262-76.
It's not just a sewing machine. For Maya, it's a chance to give her family a better life. It's not just a way to make a living. It's a chance to give her daughter an education. Like thousands of mothers, Maya lives in fear of what the future holds for her little girl. And it's not just. This Christmas, your love can make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1850 408 408. Trocra, until love conquers fear.
Cross-border employers. Join our free Employers Incentives webinar on Tuesday the 7th of December from 11 till 12 noon. Organised by the Derry Chamber and Urays Cross-Border Partnership in collaboration with the Letterkenny Chamber. Email Anna at londonderrychamber.co.uk to register.
Ireland is leaving diesel behind, and Kelly's Toyota is leading the way with our incredible range of self-charging hybrid electric cars. We've amazing offers, including contributions and trade-in boosters. And with 46 years of experience here in Donegal, you can trust us to help you on your electric journey. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. Visit Kelly's Toyota Mount Charles or Letterkenny today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
Fabulous fabrics in stock for Christmas at Fabric World Maydown. Thousands of ready-made and made-to-measure curtains available at amazing prices, on trend and in stock. Now official stockist for Laura Ashley. Call in for a quotation to Fabric World Derry. Great Euro rates.
As a result of Brexit, the UK is introducing additional checks on all EU goods from January 1st, 2022. If your business exports goods to or through the UK, excluding Northern Ireland, you should be aware of new requirements, especially regarding pre-notification and ferry boarding formalities. To avoid delays, it's vital that everyone in your supply chain understands these changes and knows what they have to do. For information and supports, visit gov.ie/Brexit.
This year, Centra is everything you need to go full-on festive. Delicious buttery short crust pastry mince pies, rich and velvety Belgian chocolate sponge pudding, and handmade dark chocolate Yule log. Delight and indulge this Christmas with their award-winning Inspired by Centra range. Centra. Live every day.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Chris Duddy, a homeowner. I don't know what your emotion is at the moment. I can only imagine perhaps, you know, the initial conversations Darragh O'Brien having yesterday morning, I think, with homeowners were far more positive. No talk of a sliding scale, and that's really what's dominating the conversation at the moment. Chris, so your Mica roller coaster, and it's mostly Dan's, continues.
It certainly does, Greg. To be honest, I got a wee heads up early yesterday morning, and obviously there was no talk of a sliding scale. I was jubilant. Then you hear the sliding scale, and it went from jubilation to desolation. And totally, this morning, I'm kind of totally on the fence and cautiously optimistic, to be telling you the honest truth, because the sliding scale, it was just like pulling a rug from under the feet of the Mica-affected homeowners, to be honest.
We have it on the record from the Minister, who's the Minister now and who's the Minister in February, that all costs for most people will be covered, that people will not have to go into their own pockets. Now, if we just had evidence of that or that in writing, maybe people could drop their shoulders a bit and enjoy Christmas as much as we can.
Well, listen, I'm not a mathematician by any means, but I'm not silly enough to think that we won't have to dip into our own pockets at this present moment in time. With what they gave us yesterday, we will be dipping into our own pockets, and in a very substantial way. Now, they're asking us to basically wait till February, March, April for, you know, to see how this pans out. You know, are we being sold a pig in a poke? Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no clarity on it. It's too vague. And as homeowners, and I'm sure I'm speaking for many here, the mental anguish that we are going through, we don't need more vague promises. We need reality. And they could have come out yesterday with reality. They could have... Clarity, reality. Listen, we're very real people. And as one said to you, Greg, Donegal people do not ask for nothing unless they really need it, and we need it. This county needs it, and other counties. So they could have come out yesterday and give us the clarity we needed. They are learned men. They are sitting in a room. They know the figures. They know the facts. They could have come out and give us that clarity yesterday, and they didn't. And this is the problem, Greg. Whatever optimistic parts of the scheme that have been announced, and there is some, you know that and I know that, the sliding scale has it's pulled the rugs from under our feet, because at the minute it's untenable to know how that is going forward.
And it's pulled the rugs from under their own feet, because this could have been seen as a government who truly delivered on this. Not perfect, some left behind, I understand that. But if we weren't discussing this sliding scale, Charlie McConalogue, Joe McHugh, Dara O'Brien could have come on, and they'd still have faced some question, of course, but said, we delivered what we promised. But we're talking about this poxy sliding scale, and it's pulled the rugs from under you, but also from under themselves.
But definitely, heroes is not the words I like to use. Because let's face it, Dara O'Brien was on yesterday saying this is unprecedented and we are working towards this, and it's unprecedented that we're doing this. Well, it's not. They did it for the buy right scheme. And basically, Greg, they let this happen. So they have to fix it. And they are duty bound to fix it, and they have every right to fix it. So we are not, we are due this. We are due to get this, to get our minds back, to get our lives back, to get our futures back, because our past has been blighted for the last 7-8 years, as you know.
Chris Duddy, thank you. Thank you very much indeed, as always. And I appreciate your time.
Thanks. And every homeowners, I would just like to say this, to keep our heads up. We are still on this, and keep the fighting spirit up.
Yep, okay.
Thank you, Greg.
Good man, thank you. All right, it's the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. We've another hour to come on the programme. We'll be continuing our coverage of that issue, as you can imagine, but also at 11:30 we're going to be giving away €2,000 in cash. If you've entered the prize draw to win a car, stay tuned for that. But it's time for a news break, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Housing Minister has admitted there is more work to be done on the enhanced Mica scheme unveiled yesterday. Much criticism has been voiced over the inclusion of a €145 per square foot cap for the first 1,000 square foot of a property, which could leave homeowners still forking out tens of thousands of euro. Mica campaigner Paddy Diver, meanwhile, says he has had a conversation with the Agriculture Minister, during which he told Charlie McConalogue the sliding scale is confusing and has to go. The government says in February the per foot rate will change based on housing agency assessments of prevailing market conditions. The PRO of the Mica Action Group has warned that the fight for Mica-affected homeowners is not over. Under the new redress scheme, holiday homes have been excluded, and while rental properties have now been included in the remit of the scheme, they must have been registered with the Residential Tenancies Board as of November the 1st. Michael Doherty says holiday home owners cannot be left behind. Primary school students may be sent home from school if they won't wear a mask in class. Children in 3rd class and above have to wear a mask to school from today. Children with a medically certified exemption are the only pupils who won't have to wear a face covering. Letterkenny University Hospital remains one of the most overcrowded hospitals in the country today. It's the second most overcrowded, with 54 people waiting on a bed there. 17 patients are on a trolley in the hospital's emergency department, while a further 37 are waiting on wards. And 1.4 million people are set to receive the Christmas bonus next week. More than €313 million will be paid into bank accounts by the Department of Social Protection from December the 6th. Pensioners, carers, people with disabilities, lone parents and long-term social welfare recipients are among those who will benefit. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
OK, Michaela, thank you very much indeed. Now, as I say, coming up very shortly, we're going to be joined by Joe McHugh. We're going to be joined by Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, and we also are giving away €2,000 in cash. If you've entered the card draw, those watching on social media can see that draw drum. Someone in there, there's a name in there that's going to be £2,000 richer, and all of those names in there and the winner of that £2,000 will also be in that draw drum along with everyone else who enters for the car draw. It is a beautiful Kia in association with our friends at iMotors. It's worth almost 30 grand, and that's up for grabs. And I am told that we'll be getting some very positive news as it relates to perhaps even more being added to that prize pot. Okay, so stay tuned for all of that. We do have to take a break, as you can imagine, and we'll be back afterwards.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Ploughing, shearing, herding, feeding. Farming is a hands-on business, so we'll hand you a 15% discount on a new farm insurance quote if a family member is already with FBD. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Multi-saver discount applies to new farm, tractor, special works vehicle, agricultural motor, commercial vehicle, farm jeep or growing trees policy when an existing policy is in force. Customer must be a farmer, 5 years claims free, except glass or windscreen claims. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Underwritten by FBD Insurance PLC.
Christmas is here. It's your turn to host. You want the best for the ones you love most. Aldi quality at prices so small help make this Christmas the most memorable of all. Roadworks award-winning IPA craft beer 500 mils just $1.99. Tato party boxes $3.95. Celebrations Quality Street, Cadbury's Heroes and Rose's chocolate tubs only $3.99. And Victoria biscuits just $3.99. Aldi, make Christmas amazing for everyone. Get the facts, be drink aware. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Fly to the airport the easy way on board an Expressway coach. With over 150 daily departures to and from Dublin Airport on 7 nationwide routes, Expressway is the way to go whatever time your flight. Expect a comfortable journey thanks to our reclining leather seats. And remember, all electronic devices can be kept on and connected to our free onboard Wi-Fi. Reserve and guarantee your seat in advance at expressway.ie. Expressway, take it easy.
We're waiting for a €19 million Lotto jackpot winner. In the meantime, Lotto players have been winning massive prizes. In fact, since the start of October, we've given away €14.2 million worth of Lotto prizes. So get your ticket for Wednesday's draw. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
From Mallinhead to Hookhead and all points in between, Ireland's makers have been creating beautiful gifts that will show everyone you love that you care. To discover Irish craft gifts near you, visit madelocal.ie. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland.
€2,000. €2,000. Yes, €2,000 only at iMotors. Get your 221 order in today and be in with a chance to win €2,000. Yes, €2,000. Come in, order now before Christmas and be in with a chance to win.
Whatever the weather, Christmas shopping in Letterkenny will brighten your December. The Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
Cold and windy with scattered showers and sunny spells developing. Some of the showers will be heavy with some falls of sleet likely, along with a risk of hail. Temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. Okay, we're joined now on the programme by our next guests. Deputy Joe McHugh and Padraig McLaughlin. Good morning to you, Joe. Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Joe. Can you hear me? Right, I'll go to you, Deputy McLaughlin, first, just while Deputy McHugh gets sorted. Your reaction, Padraig, to yesterday's announcement?
Well, I have to say, last night I was very angry when I went to bed, and I'm not much better this morning. I drove down from Donegal, as I do every Tuesday, down to Dublin. I was speaking to families on the way down, some of the campaigners, and we clearly understood that there had been a breakthrough on the square foot amount, that it was going to reflect the amount that Donegal County Council, who are administering the scheme right now, are saying with the real cost of rebuilding homes is €150 per square foot. So we understood it was going to be very close to that, and there would be enough on the table for families to have breathing space to give this a chance to work and to try to rebuild their lives after, obviously the last 6 months has been devastating for all of us. And that's what we understood. And then the leaks come out on Twitter about this was going to be €145 for the first 1,000 foot square foot, and then 110, then 100. And then when you did the calculations, and it dawned on you just that this is going to be tens of thousands of euros. So apparently Minister O'Brien was on your show earlier and gave a commitment on this. He needs to urgently remove the sliding scales. They have no reflection to any reality out there in the building sector. Quantity surveyors, engineers have contacted me. They said, where the hell has this come out of? This is a Department of Housing invention. It popped up in the working group negotiations that the families were involved in. It was an attempt to minimise the 100%, to reduce the 100%, and apparently it had been resisted. And obviously at the 11th hour, they got their way. And the two ministers, obviously Darragh O'Brien and our own minister, Charlie McConalogue, need to get rid of the sliding scale urgently and make it fair and manageable for our families.
Both of them said today that once the re-evaluation takes place in February, that it will be done in such a way, and even the housing minister, if I heard him correctly, I have to listen back, said that they might recommend that 1,000 square foot and then sliding from there needs to be adjusted. It could be 15, it could be above that, but he says that he's confident, he believes that no homeowner, the majority of homeowners, will not be out of pocket once this re-evaluation, which will account for demolition as well, takes place in February. That's the commitment he's given. He's on the record as saying that.
Well, what I'll say is this. The Society of Charter Surveyors of Ireland, that's the benchmark that is used for costing buildings of homes. And right now, that says €138 per square foot in Donegal. That's across the board. There's no scale. That's what it is. Right now, that's out of date. That's accepted that it's out of date, and that will increase now in the near future. Donegal County Council are actually dealing with the prices right now with families, and I can tell you it's north of €150. Unfortunately, is where it's gone, and it's growing all the time. The cost of materials and labour. So this is very, very simple. The sliding scale has no place in reality. He needs to get rid of it now, immediately.
But what I can't get my head around is what is the function of the sliding scale with a €420,000 cap already in place, and an assurance from two ministers today that no one will be out of pocket, that this is a 100% redress scheme. And I'm still struggling at 10 minutes past 11 then to determine what the function of the sliding scale is.
Well, in my opinion, this was senior Department of Housing officials that introduced the notion of a scale during the working group negotiations. It was an attempt to reduce, as is always the case with some of these senior civil servants, to reduce the exposure of the state, to minimise the cost of the state, and to not deliver 100% redress. And the families have spoken about that extensively. So this was an agenda. It has no relationship to reality. And I'm going to say it again, quantity surveyors, engineers, chartered surveyors, nobody has a clue where this comes out of. This is all about denying 100%. So what the ministers need to do is scrap it immediately. Now, I can tell you, Greg, and you probably would have looked over this memo, you can actually see that they're building. So even if the SCSI, as they will, increases the amount per square foot projection for the Northwest now come early next year, they're still going to maintain the sliding scale. So it's a distortion of what the real cost is. Now, this is another point, Greg, just want to make briefly. This is a really critical point. The Housing Agency managed the Pyrite Resolution Scheme. Over 2,000 families in Dublin and North Leinster have availed of that scheme, totally managed by the Housing Agency. What do? They deal with the applications, the testing, the prognosis. They deal with the contractors, negotiating, tendering. They deal with getting rental accommodation sorted out. It's completely taken care of you if you live in Dublin and North Leinster. God help you in Donegal, because you're left to fend for yourself. You're given a reduced amount of money. Go out and get a deal. It can't be done, and you can't get 100% redress. It's impossible. It's cruel, Greg. The Housing Agency needs to take over the scheme in Donegal from start to finish. Take it over. Get a good deal for the taxpayer if they can, but don't abandon families to this cruel game plan that they've been at. Deputy Joe McHugh, Chair of the Oireachtas EU Affairs Committee, you said this was a battle between elected government and non-elected government. You said this was like a litmus test for democracy. Who won? The permanent government, the elected government, democracy?
Well, it's not over, so, and I know it's not a game. I know from listening to your own contributors there this morning, Greg, like how serious this is. So we all have a job to do here in terms of rolling our sleeves up, and I know Pádraig and his colleagues will continue to do that. But look, yesterday morning, as Pádraig pointed out, was a good day. It was supposed to be a happy day. Overall, the scheme is including a lot, and it's an enhanced scheme. But this one particular element, this sliding scale,
could you sign off? Could you sign off it as? Could you sign off on it as it is?
No, I couldn't, because there's no logic to it. I don't know where it came from. I'm still trying to find out who tried to introduce it. It didn't form part of the conversation with the Mica Group. Yes, there was some reference to a split scale that the housing agency was proposing, and the Mica Group outright rejected. So, and I know there was, a conversation about that there this morning. The sliding scale doesn't make any sense. It makes a sense, obviously, from a curtailing financial point of view, from a department point of view. So we need to change that.
So how could your colleagues sit around the cabinet table yesterday and all of them sign off on this then?
Well, look, you're talking about a 2.2 billion euro scheme. I mean, 2 years ago we didn't have a penny off a scheme. It went from 0 to 1.4 billion. The 1.4 billion scheme didn't work. Obviously, you present a cabinet with 2.2 billion scheme, the biggest ever in the history of the state, and including accommodation costs, including storage costs, reducing the upfront fees and all that for engineers. So obviously it had merits, and then you see a figure of €145 per square foot, and in the media at the weekend it was announced that it was going to be 138. So you see all the headline figures, and you see, yes, this is good and this is going to work, but the sliding scale was left of centre. I don't know where it came from.
You say it's not over yet. Are you calling on your government colleague Darragh O'Brien to come out today and clarify this, scrap it?
Well, look, I spoke to him this morning. I was in touch with him late last night. Spoke to my other government colleague, and Dara Cleary from Mayo, and he gave the scheme a cautious welcome like me, but he has a concern around the sliding scale.
Do you think Darragh O'Brien understands the concern? Because in my conversation with him earlier, I felt almost stupid for asking the question. He doesn't see any problem with this sliding scale, and he does not see it meaning that homeowners have to put their hands in their own pockets. So do you think the housing minister doesn't understand housing?
No, I don't, and I do understand, or I think I do know that he understands the problem with this. I think what he was trying to do in the show this morning, in fairness, it was such a big scheme, and like any minister, he wants to get the other elements of it out there. But that is the one issue that we have here.
But he is the minister, right? He should have squared off against the civil servants that proposed this. That interview would have had and I said it to him. And to be fair, that interview would have had a completely different tone to it. But he is the housing minister, right? And it is he that allowed this inclusion to scupper this, to change the entire tone of this conversation. So he's not a victim in this. He's the man that's responsible for it, and very handsomely rewarded for making these decisions.
Yeah, look, I think, look, we can have a big chat about process, and when you consider last Thursday, there seemed to be an agreement between officials and the Mica Group last Thursday, Friday. And then at the weekend, there seemed to be some changes. So, who interfered in the process there? €138 square metre all day Monday. And then Monday night, this new thing came in. So last minute at the 11th hour. So that's no way of doing business. Ministers their backs are up against the wall. They're trying to get a scheme across the line. They're trying to make it work. Obviously, there's issues around leaking stuff, and maybe this is why it has to be done the last minute. But look, there's a willingness within government, and I certainly have found it in the last 3 weeks, to try to get this right. Unfortunately, yesterday, if it was 145 across the board last night, we would have been in a different place today. But look, I still think we owe it to all those people who are trying to prepare for Christmas, have spent 10 years...
You can't wait till February. So when does the minister have to clarify this? What are you calling on him to do today?
I think to offer some clarity in the next few days, to see how we can assure people that what he said on your radio this morning, that they won't be out of pocket, that the scheme won't be a full 100%.
Are you calling for the sliding scale to be removed and for the minister to make that decision and make that announcement?
Yeah, I don't think that sliding scale, there's any logic to it, to be honest, and I think they have to look at it, yeah.
What's your approach to this now, Deputy McLaughlin, in Dáil Éireann? I mean, obviously, is there opportunities there to progress the conversation in that platform?
Yeah, I mean, obviously myself, Pierce Doherty, Thomas Pringle vigorously challenged the Taoiseach yesterday again and again. Now, he had been standing over the sliding scale. I don't think he understood it, to be quite honest with you. I appealed directly in a debate with Minister Charlie McConlogue and privately afterwards that this has to go. Where the hell did this come from? We didn't want to be in the place yesterday. What we wanted to be doing yesterday was congratulating the campaigners who put their heart and soul into this, inspired people all across the country. This was going to be a day of joy, of breathing space for our people. That's where I wanted to be yesterday. I didn't want to be at this. But just to be clear, €145 for the first 1,000 foot, then €110 for the next 1,000 foot, and €100 after that. It's very simple. You get a calculator. It's €65,000 short for the average family.
Can you explain to me, and I'll put this question to you, and I'll put it to someone else, Stephanie McLaughlin. If I go to a contractor, right, and I ask for a key in the door build, okay, I don't get a per square. I don't think I get a per square foot costing broken down as the way we are here now. I get a key in the door price, okay. Is it not a case that we can price these properties in that fashion and average that out? You know, and if it's somewhere in between the higher rate and the secondary rate of the sliding scale, we can get there. In other words, like, is this scheme actually workable post-February if it were explained in an understandable, workable fashion?
It's really, and this is a very pertinent question, Greg. It's really straightforward. The industry standard is a square foot blanket rate.
Yes.
They've kept talking yesterday about the SCSI, which is Society of Chartered Surveyors of Ireland, and they are the people. That's the standard in terms of what costs should be in a region for building costs. That's the benchmark, right? But we can now update that to Donegal County Council dealing with a scheme. It's a blanket 150,000 on average. Now there are prices coming in north of that, Greg, right now across Donegal. I was speaking to an engineer last night. 160 to 180 euro per square foot, so it's north of 150. But people were willing to live with 145, which actually wouldn't have been all the way that they needed to be, but they just desperately want to have a scheme they can work with. So it's very straightforward. The sliding scale is a nonsense. It's about denying 100% redress. It's about trying to put the blame on the families. The other thing, Greg, and I really need to make this point strongly, there's been disgraceful leaking, right? And you're a long-standing journalist, you know how this works. They put out a €420,000. Look at all those, ungrateful crowd in Donegal. What 420,000, 2.2 billion cost of the scheme. How's that costed? They said 3.2 billion in the working group. Now it's 2.2 billion. Nonsense. This is all making up numbers.
Well, I think the national media have a responsibility to see through that as well, and not carry it. Not carry, especially ones that are funded by the taxpayer, to carry it as a great news 420 cap and not using some of their resources to actually reflect the reality for the people. So there's a leaking issue, there is a reporting issue, and one would hope it's not the case that those two groups of individuals sometimes work hand in hand. You wouldn't have to be a great cynic to feel that that's what's happened over the last couple of days, and Donegal and Mayo and other counties were chucked under the bus.
Yeah, no, I think you've summarised it very well. I've been disgusted in recent days that what you have families who poured their hearts out, who are victims. They're victims of light touch regulation, self-regulation, no regulation that was going on for decades, and they're victims, right? And they poured their hearts out. Their lives have been destroyed, and that they would cynically leak and manipulate headlines and misrepresent what is actually happening. But I think now the families now have got a hold of this again. And Joe, I would appeal to yourself with the influence you have in government. They need to get rid of the sliding scale, give the families justice, so we can all, have breathing space and start to rebuild our lives in Donegal.
You said, if you find out who came up with the sliding scale, when was it inserted and where did it come from? I mean, it would be interesting for you to make that information public. Obviously, people are texting in, and it's really not important in the wider scale of things that might be personal. You said that, you couldn't see your future necessarily within Fine Gael if this wasn't a good deal. I presume the answer is the jury's still out in that regard. You believe we're still in a process. You're not at a point where you might feel you have to make that decision.
Yeah, it's not the end of the road. It's not the end game, and that's to try to give a bit of hope to people as well, that we can still try to turn this around. I believe we can. I honestly do believe there's a willingness there, and in fairness to Darragh O'Brien, like he does make himself accessible, like he, not just to the Mica Group, but he.
Well, I couldn't get an interview with him.
Well, from a working point of view,
I don't know what the situation is. That they seem to do national interviews, but not with opposition an awful lot of the time. But I couldn't get a word with him.
Well, look, as I say,
I'm tiny. I know, and I'm not important. Like I'm not giving out. I'm just saying.
No, I think Highland Radio is a bit more than that. In fairness, Greg, Highland Radio is the voice that people listen to in Donegal for their news every day. That's if you want to speak to the people of Donegal, you come on to Highland Radio when he needs to come on, when he's asked. You know.
Well, he did today. In fairness to him, Deputy McHugh. Sorry to finish your point.
Yeah, look, just so I made the point that like within government circles and just also like Leo Varadkar and Pascal Donoghue, like in fairness, they know how important this and how serious this.
In fairness, if this gets resolved, there is a lot of positivity. I hope we can all come back together and talk about the positives of this, you know, be it in opposition or be it in government or whatever, that it's about the people. And if we can get to a place that the majority of them are happy, let's reconvene and we can talk about all the other positive elements of it. You know what I mean? In fairness is what I'm trying to get at. But for now, thank you very much for joining us, Deputies Joe McHugh and also Padraig McLaughlin. Okay, back after the break. Actually, you know what? If you're watching us still, just to change the mood a little bit, have a look at your screen now. There you can see a draw drum with entries. Anyone who entered our big Christmas card draw, their names are in that draw drum. And one of them is going to be pulled out. They're going to win €2,000. And then what's going to happen is they're going to put the name back in and they could win the car towards the end of 21st of December. What is Thursday? Thursday's the 23rd? Yet December 23rd. Right, okay. Fionnuala and Sean's going to be joining us after a break. We do have to catch up on the break here.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres ready for winter. Call in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
This Christmas, we've offers so good it's impossible to choose. Like Christmas dinner, now 1 month's heating. Presents for the kids, 2 weeks' rent. And winter jackets, only this week's electricity bill.
Many families will face impossible choices this Christmas. Please support the St Vincent de Paul annual appeal. Donate locally at svp.ie or call 0818 176 176.
No matter how busy we are, how can we make the most of our lives each day? By spending quality time together or spending time giving back? However you spend each day with Debit MasterCard, spend it doing what matters most to you. Because a life well spent is truly priceless. Learn more at mastercard.ie.
If you're really thinking about it, go do it, because you'll feel much better about yourself. People are there to help you and you will get on. Either make a phone call or go on the internet and sign up.
Adult Literacy for Life means having the necessary literacy, numeracy and digital skills to realise your full potential. Visit adultliteracyforlife.ie to find your local service or free phone 1800 20 20 65. Supported by Solace, Education and Training Boards, NALA and the European Social Fund.
Christmas is coming and the turkeys are getting fat. Call into Joe McGee Butchers in Letterkenny and Glencar shopping centres and let us take the hassle out of Christmas. Choose from our gold, silver and bronze hampers. Perfect for every home or as a gift this Christmas. There's everything you will need to make this Christmas dinner extra special. Joe, Teresa and all the staff at Joe McGee Butchers would like to wish all their customers a safe and happy Christmas.
The day has finally arrived, some say the most important one of the year. Tesco's Christmas home delivery and free click and collect slots are now open to book. This Christmas, nothing's stopping us, so give yourself a little help this year and book yours today at tesco.ie. Book early, slots will be going faster than, well, Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. Tesco, every little helps.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grove Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grove Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Have you heard the news? The Irish Independent has a new podcast.
We're not in the fairy tale business as journalists. We're in the truth business, and the question was there.
20 minutes, 5 days a week, the Indo Daily takes you beyond the headlines and into Ireland's most talked about stories.
So 25 years on, people are absolutely fascinated again with this case.
The Indo Daily podcast, available on Spotify, Apple, independent.ie, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Business owners, if you'd like to treat your staff for Christmas, Kelly Centra in Letterkenny have great hampers to suit all budgets, with delivery available, and luxury hampers are a speciality. There's also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Get Christmas sorted for your staff by calling Kelly Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny on 91222026.
From Mallinhead to Hookhead and all points in between, Ireland's makers have been creating beautiful gifts that will show everyone you love that you care. To discover Irish craft gifts near you, visit madelocal.ie. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland.
Things are deteriorating quickly here in DRC. It's now the biggest hunger crisis the world has ever seen, and 3.4 million children are on the brink of survival. Concerned staff are working around the clock, but we desperately need more supplies. Your gift will save lives. Visit concern.net and send life-saving food today. Thank you.
What do you give someone who has everything? Everything, because that's what you get with an Aldi gift card. Choose from delicious Christmas food and drink, or even our legendary Aldi special buys. Values range from €10 to €500. It's perfect for loved ones, and it shows them just how gifted you are. Purchase in-store or buy online. Aldi, make Christmas amazing for everyone. Terms apply. Visit aldi.ie/gift cards for details.
Make your next menswear choice at Watson Menswear Letterkenny. From suits to casual wear, there's big names like Rimassimo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. If you're getting married, call in for an appointment and get fitted in style. That's Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street in Letterkenny, or online at watsonmenswear.com, or follow on social media for more details on offers and new arrivals. Christmas Club now open.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Christmas is well underway at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Park for free and get everything you need. Thank you for shopping with us this Christmas. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time is 11:30 and you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Okay, it is exciting times because we are about to do a draw for €2,000. We're joined in studio now by Sean Quinn, our sales manager. Hi, Sean.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you with us. And so tell us what's happening today.
Yeah, so today we're going to do...
the same thing happened yesterday. Let me try this again. All right, we'll go to you, Fionnuala. Maybe I'll start with you, Fionnuala.
You just don't like that, Mike. I thought it was just Michael you kept doing that to when he was in.
It will work. It will work. Tap it there for me, Sean. No? Okay, I'll get it sorted in a second.
Oh, try the cable on the top.
Yeah, actually. There you go. Speak now, Sean.
Can you hear me?
No. Shall I take a quick break and we'll sort this out, and then we can focus on it
if you want to. Yeah. If you want to do that.
Well, I'm going to take this very quick break
because it's very exciting, though. Let people. It
is very exciting, but what I want everyone listening out there to do is, you see the last 40 seconds. I want you to blank it from your mind. Okay?
Erase it completely.
Erase it, and we're going to start afresh in just a couple of minutes.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Get your tyres winter ready. Drop in to Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
It's
the perfect Christmas gift. A ticket to the Remembering Joe show starring Ben Dolan and the Dolan family with the original Joe Dolan band at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Tuesday, December 28th. Book now at the Mount Errigal 074 9122 700.
If you're really thinking about it, go do it, because you'll feel much better about yourself. People are there to help you and you will get on. Either make a phone call or go on the internet and sign up.
Adult Literacy for Life means having the necessary literacy, numeracy and digital skills to realise your full potential. Visit adultliteracyforlife.ie to find your local service or free phone 1800 20 20 65. Supported by Solace, Education and Training Boards, NALA and the European Social Fund.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
At Smith's Daleside, our premium dairy diets have been formulated to increase milk yield and solids and improve animal health and fertility. For advice on matching your silage with our winter dairy range, call Smith's Daleside on 074 9171 300.
Hello there. Golly gosh, it's almost Christmas and we want to help you here at Harvey's Point make it extra special. And what better way than with a Harvey's Point gift card. Available to order direct from the hotel 074 97 22208 or online at harveyspoint.com. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year round. A Harvey's Point gift card.
The day has finally arrived, some say the most important one of the year. Tesco's Christmas home delivery and free click and collect slots are now open to book. This Christmas, nothing's stopping us. So give yourself a little help this year and book yours today at tesco.ie. Book early, slots will be going faster than, well, Santa's sleigh on Christmas Eve. Tesco, every little helps.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Right, it is big draw time. We're about to give €2,000 away. Delighted to welcome into studio our sales manager, who is Sean Quinn. Hi, Sean.
Good morning, Greg.
It's good to have you with us. First time I've spoken to you today. So
it is, and I didn't touch anything this time, so not my fault.
I don't know what you're talking about. We talked about forgetting that happened.
Oh, that's right.
Fanula Abbott, how are you?
Always good.
It's good to have you with us. Smooth. Right, okay, tell us what's happening today, Sean.
So it's brilliant. We're excited here because we're going to give one lucky listener €2,000 as part of our big mega draw for Christmas. We've got the draw before the big draw. So some lucky person in the next few minutes is going to be €2,000 richer in time for Christmas.
Yeah, and this was an extra little prize that was added for the month of November, a sort of almost like an early bird special. The person who wins this €2,000, their name still goes back into the draw drum, and although in terms of odds it's unlikely they could come out and win the car, it's not impossible either. But £2,000's £2,000, isn't it?
£2,000 will look after a lot of Christmas, and they'll go back into the draw, and if they're really lucky, they will come out twice. Right,
talk to us about the principal prize, because it's a beautiful Kia Exceed. It's worth almost $30,000, and it's in association with our friends at iMotors. It's a cracker, isn't it?
It's a beautiful car. We were up last week, actually took a video of it, and it's so well finished. It's got everything that you need in a modern car. The person that wins it will not be disappointed. It's a seriously good-looking car.
The similar one is in the Letterkenny shopping centre. If anybody's in there and they see the car when they're walking past it, that's not the exact one, but that's a similar one as to what we're giving away now.
Yeah, and it is beautiful, and it's a cracking prize. When shall we do the draw? Because I'm kind of excited. We've lots to discuss as well, right? But I kind of want to get a name out here and get a number. And Fiona, are you going to do the honours for us?
Yeah, I think Sean. Sean has to spin the thing because it's heavy.
Excellent. Right. Okay.
It
has already been spun, so this is like bonus on-camera spinning.
Exactly. Plus, I want everybody on Facebook to be able to see my lovely new trombola. It's very exciting.
It's the things you'd be proud of. Sean, you're up there now. Are you going to... Go on.
I'll open it up.
Okay. Right, okay. So Fanula is digging deep. She's facing away, and she's picked out one number, and that number is...
Am I
One.
here?
Yep,
Any of the
that's it.
cameras?
1, 4, 5, 3.
No, yeah, 1453.
1453. Okay, if you could take your seats again, and we'll see if we can get in contact with that person. So 1453. But the big draw, obviously, Fionnuala, is still very much in play. We're getting that person, contacting them. That number will go back in. But everyone in that draw drum can win this big prize, and anyone who goes onto our website, and we'll talk about that in a moment, can still get their name in there. That's all very exciting, and it's still running for another 3 weeks. People still have a chance to enter.
Yeah, absolutely. People still have a chance to enter, and like as most people know by now, the main draw itself is going to be held on Thursday the 23rd on your show for the car. But we also, here at Highland, we want to make sure that everybody, or as many people as we can, have an amazing Christmas. So we've decided that we're going to continue with the tradition that we had last year and include the €1,000 giveaway on each of the 5 primetime shows that we have.
Okay.
So there'll be €1,000 given away on Rory's show in the morning, your show, as well as the car.
I get another 1,000.
You get another. I'm fair. I'm so good to you.
No, I don't care if it's me. If it's one of the people that listen to the show, that'll do me. Okay.
So we have that for you. Then JB, John Breslin will be doing it on his or on the Northwest. David, and then finally on Ivan's show in the evening. So it's very exciting now that we're delighted to be able to add these cash prizes to it. I know it went down really well with people last year, and we want to make sure that we continue the tradition with it. Our main focus this year now is to try and help people make this as happy and as pleasant and as exciting a Christmas as we can. We've a lot of big plans for that week, as I'm calling it, the Christmas week, Monday the 20th until Friday the 24th. Obviously, your own show and lots of other different things will be going on.
Exciting things, and just to ease us into Christmas as well. Obviously, listen, we'll cover all the stuff we need to, but I think that week's going to be like that for a lot of people, Fionnuala. It's, because Christmas is at the end of the week and people are going to sort of...
I think so, and I think that's also a good thing to do because, it's been a long kind of 2 years and we're finally coming out the other end of this, and things are improving for people as individuals, and things are improving for businesses and for the county as a whole. For a lot of people, they're seeing a brighter point and looking forward to 2022 and holidays and all different kind of things coming around again. So we want to be part of that excitement and interest, and try and do as much kind of giveaways as we can, and just have as much music and fun and entertainment as possible during that week.
Yeah, so it's very simple. They go on to highlandradio.com, they click on the car image, and they just go through the process. They've got a simple question they have to ask, of course, or answer. So they can go through that, but it's very simple. highlandradio.com and click on the car image to enter the draw.
And tickets are at a maximum €10, but the more they buy, the more you save. You can get 6 for 50 and 10 for 80, and they can be individualised for Christmas boxes and stuff, can't they?
Absolutely. So you can actually put individual names onto them as well, and you can send the ticket onto them via email, or you can print it out and you can send them via post. So if you're doing that, obviously, we would advise that you enter early.
Yeah, okay. Right, now, ticket number 1453. That belongs to a listener in Ramelton, more specifically Grove Hall, and his name is Michael Callahan. Congratulations. Beep, beep, beep. Wow, okay, that's beeping. Michael is not on that line. We'll try and get him back, but I've spoiled it now. Michael Callahan, you have won the 2 grand. We're going to see if we can get you back through. In case there's other Michael Callahans listening, this is in a Grove Hall in Ramelton. He's €2,000 better off. Nice money if you can get it, and he did.
Oh, fantastic. We're delighted for him. I hope he spends it foolishly. That's exactly what
On himself.
Yes, on himself. Well, okay, maybe extend it to his family slightly, but don't go too crazy. Buy something you really want. I always think money won no more than when you win the €3 on the lotto. It should be spent on something that you like, be it even a nice bar chocolate or something lovely. So it should be.
Right, okay, so that's it. We can maybe recap, though. We've got other matters to get to. I want to talk about the colouring competition. It's back. It's being launched again now. Is this it? The launch?
This is the launch of the colouring competition. We've been in contact with the...
Can I just hold you for a second?
Yeah.
Sorry. Michael, good morning to you. No, we'll not persist with that. There's a problem with it. Right, carry on, Fionnuala. You're in full flow.
No, that's all right. I would love to talk to Michael. But anyways, this is the new colouring competition that we're doing. We had an unbelievable amount of...
hold that and I can hold it up to this first
We
camera
had
here.
an unbelievable amount of entries last year's colouring competition, trying to pick the winners. Ended up trying to... Are you the snowman then in that sense? Yeah.
my nose is far bigger than that, Greg.
And David James isn't on it.
Well, maybe he's the reindeer.
He's all over the place. I thought, maybe you'd have got him on.
The reindeer's singing, so that would be David. He's got the microphone. But no, we're very excited about it this year again, because as I said, last year, earlier in the year when we had the last colouring competition, we got a fantastic response to it. I think we got like a couple of thousand entries into it. It was just, it took us forever, and there was many arguments and rows between
But it was
staff.
enjoyable, though.
Yes,
like, it was lovely seeing all of them lined out.
It was the hardest thing was it was just so many, and they were all so brilliant.
The whole floor upstairs was actually covered in colour. It was just amazing.
In just trying to pick it. So we decided then that we would go ahead and do it again this year. So we have our picture up online. You can avail of it through our website. So if you go to highlandradio.com and you can download it. We're hoping once again the schools very kindly got involved and they had classes doing it and that kind of thing. You have to have your entry into us before Monday the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And we are hoping then that if we can not end up fighting with each other again,
That's
that we will
fun.
that we will. I know it was just because everybody felt so passionate about the one they thought should win it. We actually ended up adding extra prizes. It was so good last year. So what we've done this year is we have a load of prizes for people, different kind of colouring and sweets and crayons and Christmassy stuff. And what we're going to do is do the same thing again. Entries in by Monday the 20th, and we will be picking the winners then on announcing the winners on either Thursday or Christmas Eve, as I said, depending on the level of entries.
Yeah. Categories, what's the story?
So we've got under 5s, under 9s and under 13s.
I might be in with a chance if I entered the under 5s.
Well,
I think if I go under 9s or under 13s.
We reckon you'd be struggling under 13s. That gets to a different level for you, Greg.
Yeah.
Just one thing, before we move on there, is just a thanks to Jarla, who designed the cartoon.
It's a
for
beautiful
us.
picture, it is.
It's really
and
good.
you know what? It's challenging too, which I know younger people particularly like.
A bit of thought will be required in that.
Yeah.
And I will try it myself now just to see if I can maybe get into
Should
the
we
under
do?
13s.
What about if we get
Staff one.
4 or 5 staff to do it and the listeners decide who wins?
Oh, we could totally do that.
Yeah? All right.
I am
so competitive.
I have to say, I am a brilliant colourer.
I can't beat you at golf, but I'll have a go at colouring. Michael, are you there?
Yes.
Congratulations, you're €2,000 better off.
Is that Greg?
It's Greg here.
Gee, you sound a very young man. You must be young, are you?
I don't know. Are you asking me out on a date with your $2,000? Number 1453, that was yours, Michael. You've collected $2,000. Well done to you. And you're back in to win the car as well. We're actually, do you know what we might do is actually put the number back in live on air here now so we know it's being done. And Michael, do you know what you're going to spend the money on?
What am I not going to spend it on?
Oh, whatever you want. And come here, are you a lucky person or is this one of your first times winning or what's the story?
Won a few small bits of money here and there. Nothing. This would be one of the biggest I've won, actually. This is one of the biggest.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations to you and a really happy Christmas, Michael.
But then we're a great fan of Highland Radio anyway. We're a great fan across the road and all, so...
Lovely.
Everything. Many thanks again. Lovely to hear from you, and
You
that
too.
is great.
God
Thank
bless
very
you, Michael. Michael Callahan, Grove Hall, Ramelton. Right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. We'll be reminding people, I'm sure you'll be coming in for another visit. Anything add before we wrap up, Sean?
Yeah, just before
Seeing
you
as
go,
you give me the finger.
Just before you go. Just to tune in next week, we will be launching also our listeners' Christmas giveaway, which is our hampers. O'Donnell's Fuels always give us €500 off oil voucher, which is brilliant at this time of year. Joe McGee's Butchers have come in again this year with a meat hamper. It was a gold one. Kelly Centre across the road will have a Christmas deluxe hamper, and finally the Chamber of Commerce are giving €200 of a voucher for Shop LK.
And you're not going to tell us how to win that yet?
We'll tell you more next week. We'll give you more information. We'll launch it next week. And we do it every year, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So we've got that there. We've got the car. Michael's back in for the car. Get your tickets on the website now. And also a 5,000 on the 23rd as well across the shows. And the colouring competition. We might talk about the colouring competition again on Friday.
We will, but the colouring competition is just that, under 5s. The categories are under 5, under 9, under 13. So it covers anybody.
And we've got consensus on this, yeah?
Yeah, no, we have. We've agreed. We agreed one and then we changed. Well,
I came up with something, Fionnuala then changed
I arbitrarily changed it. I wanted to include everybody, all the national school kids. And if anybody else or the older people would like to send us in homemade Christmas cards, we will accept them, and you never know, we may end up finding a prize for that as well.
I was going to ask, because we're going to have a Christmas theme throughout the Christmas week leading up to Christmas, and I was going to ask people to knit jumpers, right? And I'd wear the jumpers and stuff, but then I thought it's too much to ask. But I thought it would. It's an awful lot.
It's so hard to knit them. I've knit a couple of arm jumpers for men. Your arms are too long.
Yeah, well,
it just takes ages.
I've got a t-shirt, a woolen t-shirt. But anyway, listen, come here. Thanks so much, both of you, for joining us. You can go on our website and you can enter our colouring competition, our car competition, and Sean's only teasing us with the fantastic Christmas bumper giveaway. There, we'll probably come. Have we got a name for it yet? We'll sort that out next week.
Our annual bumper giveaway.
Giveaway, all right.
We'll call it.
Back with Kieran after the break.
Today's 9 till noon show is brought to you in association with Ulster Tyres. Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Something exciting is happening at Dunnes Stores. The Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire Draw is now on, with winners in every store every week. For our grand prize, one lucky shopper will become our Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire, winning 1 million value club card points. That's your shopping for the whole year worth €10,000. Simply come in store and swipe your value club cards to enter. Swipe and win today with the Dunnes Stores Christmas Millionaire Draw. Terms and conditions apply. See dunnesstores.com for details.
Hello there, Daniel here with great news from Divers Hyundai. Hyundai have decided to subsidise the €2,500 grant recently discontinued by the government on the Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid. Prices remain the same as last month, and so to avail of this fantastic offer, simply book your car before the end of the year, when you can also choose from the 3.9% finance package or 5 years free servicing.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Under the one sky, we share life's experiences. Love and loss and joy and pain. And grief is a natural response to loss. It helps so much to talk, to reminisce, to reflect. Irish Hospice Foundation Bereavement Support Line is open for all of us who are grieving. Free phone 1800 80 70 77 to talk to someone in confidence and for a shoulder to lean on.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring's 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in-store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
And now the Highland forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. Widespread Christmas shopping this December in Letterkenny. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
Okay, so cold and windy this morning. Scattered showers, sunny spells developing. Those showers sometimes will be heavy and with falls of sleet. Temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. And it is time now for this.
Business Matters in association with the LYIT Faculty of Business. Do you want to learn how to tap into unprecedented opportunities in the food and drink industry? Then join our higher diploma in Food Product Innovation and Enterprise. This course is 100% online and co-funded by Donegal Local Enterprise Office. Visit lyit.ie for more information.
How are you, Kieran? Nice to see you.
Good morning, Greg.
Okay, I wish we had more time, but we have time. We've a good few minutes. Board appointment for a Donegal woman in China.
Yes, Letterkenny woman Katrina Jennings has been appointed onto the board of directors of the Irish Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. Katrina is a VP risk with an international aircraft leasing company and has responsibility for covering airlines based in APAC, So the former Olympian will be leading the Chamber's new aviation working group.
Nice one, fair play. Right, skill shortages amongst Irish companies. What's going on here?
Yeah, 91% of Irish-based employers have experienced recruitment challenges in the past 12 months. That's according to recruiting experts Hayes Ireland. So a total of 50% of Irish-based employers claim ongoing skill shortages have had a negative impact on organisational productivity. 39% say it has undermined their ability to deliver key projects, while 30% claim it has stalled their plans for expansion. So 1 in 5 employers suggest recruitment challenges were impacting their profitability and revenues. This research was published as part of the Hayes Ireland Salary and Recruiting Trends Guide 2022 and surveyed a total of 1,500 Irish-based employers and employees in early September.
And this is not insignificant when companies are looking where to locate, because this is the type of data they look at. So hopefully we have Simon Harris, isn't it? And the others looking at this. Right, local firms doing well in getting to the finals of a major award.
Yeah, a very positive story here, Greg. 2 Letterkenny businesses have been named among the SFA National Small Business Awards 2022 finalists that were announced earlier this week. Kinniger Brewery is one of the 6 finalists in the food and drink category, sponsored by Board Bia, while Verve Boutique has made the shortlist in the retail category, sponsored by One for All. So the aim of the awards is to celebrate the achievements of small businesses in Ireland and to recognise the vital contribution of the small business sector to Irish industry. So a total of 47 companies from 12 different counties across 10 categories made the finals this year.
All right, and news for the as it relates to the Trading Online voucher.
Yeah, it's just a point of information. The next Trading Online voucher workshop, Greg, will take place on Wednesday next December the 8th from 9:30am to 11am. So it's compulsory to attend a Trading Online information session if a business wants to apply for a Trading Online voucher. And the Trading Online vouchers are quite useful. They're grants of up to €2,500 to assist businesses to develop online sales.
Right, the podcast is available right now. It'll be broadcast on Sunday. Tell us what's coming up.
Yes, on this week's Business Matters, I'll be talking to the Head of Business Faculty at Letterkenny IT, Michael Margie, and the co-owner of Donegal DPD's depot, Mary Ford. So it's been a busy time for the LYIT as it gears up for the change to university status in 2022. And as of April next year, LYIT will become part of the Atlantic Technological University. And Michael Margie says Atlantic is an excellent name choice for the amalgamation of LYIT, GMIT and IT Sligo.
It's fantastic. It's a superb brand name, Atlantic Technological University. And I think a lot of people are going to be very, happy with that brand name, proud of it in some way too, because it's an acknowledgement of all the hard work by everybody.
Michael there. And the second guest you mentioned?
Yeah, Mary Ford has been running the Donegal DPD depot with her husband Jared since 2005, having taken over the business from her uncle Charlie McDade. So it's been a hectic 21 months at Depot 36 in Letterkenny, which has increased its drivers from 18 to 34 following the onset of the pandemic last year. So Mary attributes the success of her business to her loyal and hard-working staff.
Yeah, and in this context, hectic in a good way for the business.
Yeah.
As I say, the staff been just, they're extraordinary. Most of them are with us. Some of us, as I say, the like of Jared and Michael. Michael is 20 odd years done. Jared is 16, and the like of Benny and them all have 12, 14 years. Benny and Keith have great years of service, great loyalty, which is fantastic to have that. And then again, of course, the experienced heads in for the newer people coming in. They can guide them to the best of their ability. And our staff are really the wheels that keep the whole thing turning, really.
Just listening to you explain what happens here, it's very much against the clock, Mary, all the time, and it's also a very personal business, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, yeah. Because when again nowadays the customer really want to know what time roughly they're going to get a parcel.
Or exactly, maybe it's part of it.
It could be that as well, Kieran. But we try our best to be fairly close to that hour. We give an hour window, and most of the time, unless there's a breakdown or something untoward could happen, we would normally be within that hour anyway to come with the delivery to your door.
Showing your true colours with that question, you diva, you, Kieran. I want it now.
Well, I'm speaking for some of my children, and they certainly want it now, and I'm sure there are many people listening to the show this morning, Greg, want it now as well.
No problem, I'm sure. Right, more from Michael Margie and Mary Ford in full in this week's podcast, available on our website, highlandradio.com. one on Spotify and iTunes, and it's broadcast on Sunday, Kieran.
Yeah, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday evening.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with you?
Yeah, drop an email, please, businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Thank you, Kieran, and thanks so much for giving over a bit of your time too on what was a very busy day. It's very much appreciated. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9